What's going on, everybody? Happy New Year! It is Monday, January the 10th, 2022, 6:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Dave McRae, coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. He's Tony Michael in Atlanta, Georgia. This is episode 136 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. All Q&A today. Things might be changing on the horizon. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live! We are live. Hope you had a great Christmas break, a great holiday. We're back, and we're opening it up the floor to you today. Whatever you want to ask Tony and I, get those questions in, and we shall do it. Tony,
hey.
Happy New Year. How was your Christmas break?
It was good. It was quiet. Even though I saw family, it was quiet.
Quiet, huh?
That's the only way. It was it was good. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I didn't do like.
Right.
I actually, I managed to make it the whole way through. I just was kind of full Ebenezer Scrooge mode this year and didn't put up one decoration, didn't listen to one Christmas song, didn't watch one Christmas movie. I'm rethinking that now because I did.
You were fuck life this Christmas.
I did watch It's Me, Billy, so I don't know if that counts.
Oh, you did?
You know
well, that's cool.
A traditional Christmas movie, meaning like
I get you. Well, hey, it's my movie,
Tony's
so I'm
quiet. Is my mic not working?
Tony's quiet. Oh, let me. He should be okay. Let me put Tony up a little bit here.
Is that better?
Let's see here. Start talking. Hello, hello, hello.
Check.
Well, you are a little low. I don't know why. I've got you up all the way. Maybe it's on your end. Maybe there's like a volume slider, perhaps. I don't know.
Settings. It's been a few weeks since we did this. I don't think the settings would have changed on me.
No, my settings haven't changed. How am I? Am I okay? Then again, I'm always loud and obnoxious. So.
Oh, I'm good. Some people are saying I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Well, let's just leave it. I mean, you know.
Okay.
So, well, you watched.
So yeah,
I didn't
I didn't do anything Christmassy. I was told I think this year I have fully embraced my Ebenezer Scrooge, and just I didn't do shit.
Right.
Didn't really, whatever. Saw some family, which was cool. And then New Year's came and went. I didn't even stay up all the way till
right.
I think I passed out by the time I was.
That was it. You were just
11:30. I'm like, okay, I've done this enough. I'm good.
Yeah.
Got some new books from the family that I've been wanting to. Started to read one of them already.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. What about you? What did you do?
Well, it was low key as well. I mean, I don't have any kids like you and
Whoa, back that kid train up. I have no kids.
No, I said I don't have any kids like you.
I thought
not
you meant like
unlike you. Like you, I don't have any children. So Christmas is always
got me with illegitimate kids.
No. So Christmas is always pretty low key. And but it was good. It was good. Spent some time with with the lady and with Bruce as well. We're working on that project. And just kind of low key, spoke to some family, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not much going on. And there's not much you can do. I mean, everything is still shut now. It's shut down again, and there's nowhere where you can really go. There's not much you can do. So, but it was good. Yeah. It was good.
Same here. It's kind of hit or miss on what's open and what's closed. Mm-hmm. We went because tonight's once we get off the stream here, watching the national championship game with Georgia and Alabama. Go Dogs. And our pizza shop was open, so we could go in and get stuff. So we got some munchy stuff.
Do they do that? Like it's the Georgia Dogs? Is that what it is? The Georgia Bulldogs? That's right.
Georgia Bulldogs, but everyone just is like Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Go Dogs Go. Do you remember that book? Go Dogs Go?
It sounds familiar. I feel like I should know.
Chat room, remember the book Go Dogs Go? I think it was it a Dr. Seuss book or something?
I was gonna say, it feels like I was gonna you literally took the words out of my mouth. I feel like
Go Dogs Go.
Dr. Seuss book
was amazing. So Do people in the stands like go ruh, 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 things like that? Do they pretend they're dogs?
Surprisingly, I've never actually been to a Bulldog game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I've never actually been to a Bulldog game.
Fair enough.
I've only been to Bulldog events, and I have not heard, meaning like I photographed events that were going on.
I got
you. And I never heard, I know they sing their fight song, and I don't know what that is, but yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Says Tony still sounds too quiet. I wonder why.
Joe, I wonder why. I don't know.
I got him all the way up. I got
the settings.
Yeah, I don't know why. He's all the way up. I don't know what's going on. I can try putting you, like I can actually raise the dB.
Hang on, input audio. Check. I mean, I got it's all the way cranked up now.
Okay, no, wait a second. It's all the way cranked. Hang on, let me bring you down on my end a little bit. Crank it. Check. I mean, I'm hitting red. You're hitting red. How does that? I don't know how that sounds. Let me see here how that sounds. All the way cranked. Hang on, let me bring you down on my end a little bit. Crank it. Check. I mean, I'm hitting red. I don't know. I mean, it's pegging red. I can't put it up any higher because we're distorting. How does Tony sound now, folks? Because I'm looking at his levels on OBS, and your levels are actually perfect on OBS. Yes, and I'm looking at my levels here, and it's like I'm just hitting red. If I go any higher, it's going to start distorting. I would leave it there, and we'll just see how that goes for now. Yeah. All right. So hey. Betty White, Sidney Poitier, and Bob Saget. You know how they always say it comes in threes. Bob Saget hit hard. That fucking blows. Like Betty White, it's like 99. Lived the full life. Yeah, Sidney Poitier, 94. Right. Bob Saget, he's as old as my mom and dad, and I'm just I know. Fuck, like what the hell? Like I know it is sad. I mean, Betty White is. I don't believe. Okay, so this is my theory. It's not a conspiracy theory or anything, but Betty White was abducted by aliens. That is correct. She was abducted by aliens. No, she. I think it was the day before she died or something. This is not her doing this. This would have been her people. But she put out some sort of social media post. I don't know. I didn't even know she was on social media. I don't know if it was a tweet or an Instagram or Facebook. I don't know, something, or maybe it was just a statement maybe, where she said that she was looking forward to her 100th birthday and she's feeling good and all that kind of, you saw that, right? Okay, well, but here's the thing. That's not Betty White sitting in, the last time that I saw Betty White in public was during some sort of, I don't know if it was an award show or if she was getting an award, like an honorary thing or something. It was a couple of years ago, I believe. It was before the pandemic, and she didn't look good. Now, this is a couple of years ago. She was helped onto the stage. I don't mean helped like she was, falling over, but she was, being helped to the podium. She was saying thank you, but you could tell that she wasn't her usual spry Betty White, quick-witted self. And then, of course, she accepted whatever it was that she was doing. Maybe she was introducing somebody, I can't remember. And of course, she was helped off the stage. Again, when I mean helped, I don't mean she's like feeble and she's falling over. It's just that there were people there sort of with her, guiding her off stage. And this is a couple years ago. And I remember watching that going, this is 2019. And I remember thinking, it's not, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me because of the pandemic, because of her age, she's not out there doing anything, that she has been ill for to this degree for a while. And her publicist and her reps and her family were just really hoping she could make it to 100. Sure. And so I don't think that she was, if you were to have visited Betty White 6 weeks ago, I don't think she would have opened the door and been like, hi, come on in, what's going on? Like how she usually is. I don't believe that because of where I saw her a couple years ago. Now, this is just purely speculation. Maybe she was, but I don't think I think she's been kind of knocking on heaven's door, as they say, for a little while now. And it just so happened to be that this was the time that it ultimately happened. So unfortunate. Golden Girls, Mary Tyler Moore Show, legend in television. I think 7 or 8 decades. I mean, a pioneer
and don't forget, she started off in radio.
She did.
Acting,
she did.
Doing the old classic TV, radio shows.
That's right. That's right. A huge pioneer for women in television, which cannot be understated. Absolutely amazing and fantastic. And then, of course, you get to Sidney Poitier, who, of course, was the first Black actor to win an Academy Award. I mean, a trailblazer in that sense. But to Tony's point, you're right. I mean, 99, 91, you're not going to say gone too soon for either of those people. No. They've lived a full life, a career that we could only dream of having, a legacy that was cemented decades ago. I mean, this is not like they needed the extra, 30 years. I mean, this is something that is just, it's sad because you realize, it's the end of an era, right? Sure. that era is, I mean, there's not too many of them left anymore.
From Golden Hollywood? No.
Right. Exactly. That's my point. Right. So it's just, it's another sort of man, and then you get to Bob Saget. And I actually was having
shocking.
Yeah, it is, because he was only 65.
Not only that, he literally just posted.
Yes.
The day before, like he's doing a comedy show in Orlando. He's posting selfies of himself, excited for the show and all this, and then gone the next day. That's like, what the fuck? What happened?
Exactly. And I was actually taking a nap. I was napping on my couch. I had fallen asleep watching something. And I'm there, and then I hear my phone go off, and I look, and there's a few notifications, and I'm like, oh, that's probably something Halloween related.
Right.
And I thought, what's this? And then I see it's a text message from you, and you're like, dude, fucking Bob Saget just died. And I'm like, what? And I perked right up. I sat up on my couch, and I'm like, what? No way. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, like, holy shit. Because like you said,
that's
our
childhood, what
I mean?
Yeah,
for sure.
Full House is such a huge part of our childhood.
Huge. Yeah.
Danny Tanner was, as they say, he was America's dad.
He was the white America's dad, whereas Bill Cosby was the Black America's dad. And then Bill Cosby, I'm being sarcastic. I'm being sarcastic, obviously. No, because they referred to Bill Cosby as America's dad as well, right? So I was just, right. I'm being silly, folks. I'm being silly.
90s for sure. That's what
that's that's my point. And anyways, I was going to end my joke by saying that, however, I think Bill Cosby has lost that title now. I don't think he has that title anymore because of what's happened. But
I don't follow too many celebrities, but I do follow Candace Cameron. Bure, however she pronounces,
Bure. Yeah.
Isn't he from your neck of the woods?
No, he's a Russian hockey player, but he did play in the NHL. He played for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, what's really cool...
so that's where the Canadian...
Yeah, and a great elite Russian hockey player. A really great player, too, yeah. I mean, he's not... he retired years ago.
Man, they're good stock.
Yeah, well, look at Alexander Ovechkin. Alexander Ovechkin could break Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal-scoring record in a couple of years. The Russians produce really good hockey players.
Yeah, and when I saw that, I immediately went to her, and I've been kept refreshing, waiting to see what because I mean, look, I don't know her, I'll probably never meet her, but I felt saddened for her and the other girls as well too. But I don't really put a lot of stock into following a lot of celebrities. But Candace Cameron, being that she's close to our age, I mean, she was one of my first crushes as a kid growing up. DJ Tanner, the one thing I do know about the cast of Full House is I do know they are close knit. They are even with the Olsen twins not doing the new show here, they still were very close to the Olsen twins. They talk to them. They don't see them, all the time, but I guess they're all part of a group chat. And I've heard that, throughout several times. And I've heard nothing but nice things about Bob Saget. Every conversation he's ever had with them, he always says, "I love you" to the girls.
Yeah, I read that too. Yeah.
I'm like, that's just a genuine good dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it, and that's kind of how you picture Danny Tanner to be like in real life, giving
well,
you hugs.
And what's so funny too is that for those of you that don't know, I saw that Darren here from the Slaughtered Lamb Movie podcast, which makes sense because, we sometimes forget too, not everybody around the world would necessarily know who Bob Saget was, depending on, the culture and where you are in the world. Of course, Darren is over in the UK, and there's many UK shows, for example, and stars that are huge, but that I've never heard of, or like, whatever the case is. So Bob Saget, he was the star, one of the stars of the American sitcom Full House, and then of course he was the host of the long running home video comedy show America's Funniest Home Videos.
That's right, I forgot about that.
And he was the narrator. He was the older, I forget the guy's name, but he was the narrator on How I Met Your Mother as well. He wasn't actually a star on the show, but he was the narrator that narrated each episode. So certainly a legend of American television, and he was a stand-up comic as well. And the irony is that
the opposite of Danny Tanner.
That's what I was going to say.
Stand-up comedy.
Yes.
Opposite.
On Full House, he was a very sweet, by the book, wholesome, as religious as you could be without being religious, because they weren't a religious family. Although, ironically, Candace Cameron was and is, but he was just
hardcore like her brother. Though.
Not her brother. No. That's true.
She didn't go to that level.
That is true.
Kurt went with it. She believes, and she's
sure.
Cool,
oh no, there's nothing wrong with that.
She leaves it right there at the table.
That's right.
Kurt on a different level.
Kurt, on the other hand, is on a different level. But he was a very wholesome dad, like very wholesome, by the book, sweet. That was his character. But his stand-up is the complete opposite. Because you have to remember, he's playing a character, that's not necessarily who Bob Saget was and is. And I made a tweet yesterday after I heard the news, and I said, it's sad, of course, but I can't help but feel that Bob Saget is, looking down on us and dishing out some hilarious joke about his own death, because you could totally see him doing that, because he had a dark sense of humor like that. And then I put up a GIF or a GIF. I think it's a GIF, right? It's a hard G, I think, where it's just Bob Saget, I think on an episode of Fuller House, which was the reboot series. And it just says, it won't happen again, right? And he's going, it won't happen again. It won't happen again. I swear to God. Now, that might seem distasteful for some. I guarantee you, if he were alive today, he'd think that was fucking hilarious. He'd think it was hilarious. He would. Yeah. So it was in the spirit. It was in the spirit of sort of his dark sense of humor. But a shock, yeah. I mean, it's 65 is it's not young, but it's young. We all hope and expect to live to 80.
Well, it's young in the sense, for me, I guess I'm looking at it different, because both your parents are already gone, which they
died young too.
Very young.
69 and 67. Yeah.
I'm looking at it as, Bob Saget is literally the same age as my father. My mom is a year younger. And I'm not ready to say goodbye to either one of my parents.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, even though I understand the reality of life, and that's the stage that I'm heading towards now.
Right.
And then it also, as cliche as it sounds, and I said this when Luke Perry passed away a couple years ago, our time here is short. We're here for a very short time, and some of the
nobody knows when
we get wrapped up in so much dumb shit sometimes, and we think we're the center of the universe, and we realize we're nothing but a grain of sand in all of it.
That's
so
it.
It's like, do what you got to do, but do it right, and just do good shit. And
well, there's just so much. There's so much,
and you get the response like you're getting from a lot of people about Bob Saget who knew him. It's just a really cool dude, and that's how he lived his life. There's just,
I agree, and to piggyback on what you just said there, it is, and it, I don't want to sound like an overused cliche, but there's so much. There's so much nonsense online. And look, there's a lot of good things too. There's a lot of good things too. But there's so much, like, the things that people get so angry about and wrapped up in, And it's just like, oh, like there are many times I will scroll Twitter or Facebook, and I have to have them, and I don't have to, I guess, but it's in my best interest because of my job and all that kind of stuff. And but I there's so many times I scroll and I see, and I don't even know what this is. Like, it's just, we don't come from that generation. So, I see so much garbage being posted, and the anger and the vitriol and the hatred and it's just nothing but a cesspool of toxic trash. Yeah. Having said that, there's good things too, but I just, I've taken a bit of not a complete step back, but things got very busy for me once the fall hit, and I've taken a bit of a step back on my channel, and because I was going full tilt there. I mean, this, I was doing like 5 streams a week, which was crazy, and I had to take a bit of a step back because I was feeling the burnout. I was getting busy, and I just wasn't able to. I wasn't able to do it at the level that I wanted to do it. And when you take a step back, you tend to look at things a little more objectively, and you watch from a distance. It's almost like being on the dance floor and then you're getting a bit tired, so you go and sit down. And as you're sitting down, you're watching everybody else on the dance floor, and you're going, holy fuck, there's a lot of shit out there. Like you're just looking at, because you're no longer on the dance floor amongst it all. You're kind of on the back, and you're not, you haven't left the room. You're just taking a break, having a drink of water, whatever. And you're like, fuck, man, there's a lot of trash. There's a lot of just the arguing and the debating and it's just so like, I have no interest for that. I will never, and there's been a couple of times where I've in the comment section of some of my videos, I never respond to trolls, but I always will respond to something like I say that is actually factually incorrect. Like they'll say something I said that I didn't say. And now I will still correct it. But if somebody is clearly being passive aggressive on purpose and trolling after, I just don't care anymore. I just don't care. It's not worth my time. This isn't real. It's not real. And it's the internet. It's fake. It's faker than your fucking wife's tits.
It's funny that you're saying this because I
it's
literally had this moment.
That doesn't mean there aren't good things.
No, but 4 days ago, I get online, and this was finally my end all moment where I just started to unfollow shit, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm checked out.
Yeah.
When I'm seeing posts that people were comparing January 6th to September 11th in Pearl Harbor, I was just like, there's a quote by Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder, which I can't say, but if people get the innuendo to never go full blank, the ending line. I feel like on that day I woke up and I said, yeah, we've gone full blank. And it starts with a re and it ends with a I
got you.
I can't say the word that Downey Jr. says because I'll get in trouble, but y'all know the line. And right. I was just like, we're this is where we're at now as a culture. Like we're going to compare people trespassing into a building, which was wrong. I'm not agreeing what the people did in Washington that day. What they did was right. It was wrong. But people literally jumped to their death off the World Trade Center because they had no other option. And you're going to compare it to that? I'm done. I was like, I'm so done. Check. Bombs were being dropped on sailors by Japan in Pearl Harbor, but we're going to compare that? Like, come on, man. And dude, it's weird that you say that because that day, I was like, I'm so over this. I'm going to follow simple things. I'm going to live a simple life. And that's it.
It's true. But it's all over. Done. It's in the political arena. It's in the entertainment arena. And I'm just, as crazy as it sounds, nobody likes to be forced or preached to care about something. I truly believe that people can support a cause, support something, and anyways, I don't want to get too political because I don't want to do that. But
no, it's just weird that you had your moment.
Oh yeah, no, I get that. I get that.
4 days ago, and we haven't talked, so it's
no.
we're sharing. Like it's just weird, like how you and I think very similar at times and have similar like experiences. And that happened to me the other day. And I literally went through everything I was following on social media that I don't. And one of the biggest thing is I'm not following anything political anymore. I'm checked out.
It's too, I agree. There's been a few people that I follow, a few, I'll say, well-known public figures, who have all the right in the world to talk about whatever they want to talk about. Like all the right in the world to talk about whatever they want to talk about. I mean, I think that's great. And there's nothing wrong with that. I haven't unfollowed them, but I have muted them. And the reason I did that was because it becomes part of their identity. And that's all they talk about. And listen, if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. They're using their platform to retweet or recite or whatever. And it's not even stuff that I don't necessarily disagree with. Sometimes it's stuff that I actually agree with. So let me first say that as well. It's not just, oh, you just don't like it because you just, no, actually, sometimes it's things I agree with, but that's all it is. And that's not why I followed that person 5 years ago. But now it's such a huge thing. I'm just tired of seeing it. Every time I open up my feed, there it is, something about something. I'm tired. And I know I'm not the only one. I know probably about 50 to 60% of the people in the chat room feel the same way at the very least. There are people,
generous. I think that
there are people, it probably is. There are people that are afraid to talk and say we're sick of, and I'm not talking about one specific topic. I'm talking about just the general sort of intensity of how intense and so many different things have become. And whether that's arguing over fucking Halloween kills, I don't fucking care. I don't care. Right. You like it? Great. I like Halloween 5 years. I don't care. That's great. You like it? I didn't like it. Okay, great. That's a fucking, I don't care to the degree, like Jesus, to that, to politics, to COVID, to sports, to whatever it is. It's like, oh, man, it's just, everything is at 10. It's like having a pot on the stove and it's constantly boiling, going.
Well, the reason for
it's like, fuck, can we just turn it down a bit?
Well, because if people would stop watching the bullshit news on any news for that matter, it's not just one side, it's all news. You're brainwashed. You're not thinking for yourself. And like you said, the majority of the people, like my neighbors, and just, if you were to drive around Georgia, especially like on January 6th, or like now we got all these new, like, people are not living their lives fearing COVID. People, like, nobody's wearing a mask anymore except for a handful of people. Businesses are making decisions on who they're letting in based on, and they have a right to do that. If it's your business, you have a right to ask a person for, proof of vaccination.
That's what people don't understand.
We as a Patreon don't have to go and support your business.
No, that's true.
Same thing like with your movie theater. I don't have to go and buy a ticket from your theater. I can go drive 45 minutes to the theater. That's not asking for a vaccine, passport, whatever. And I think more and more people are realizing that if you shut yourself off from the toxicity, you're going to realize the world isn't that bad. The world, it's not that bad. Like, people who actually, if people really think that those Trump people were going to overthrow our government that day, like, come on, bro. An 85-year-old grandma there waving her, like, come on. I understand what the media is feeding you, but you got to bring it and put it in perspective. And when you cut the ties from the bullshit that's out there, you start to realize and think, yeah, everyone's pretty much just like me. You know what I mean? Like, you start to see that your neighbors are like, I talk to my neighbor. I live in a very multicultural neighborhood. My neighbor here is Black. My neighbor across the street is Venezuelan. I got 2 Korean, neighbors right next to me. So we're very multicultural cul-de-sac. Yeah. And we laugh at this shit. Like, it's like they want to say there's just all this race tension amongst us, but the reality is, no, it isn't. maybe if you're on Twitter or, you're in that 1% of 350 million people that live in this country, the rest of us honestly just want to get along, enjoy our time, shoot the shit, talk about our favorite movies. And
it's true that is one thing that I actually agree with. I think most people don't care to the degrees that social media, and again, Tony and I are talking across everything. You know what I mean? And I know that there's certain things that overshadow other topics, but it is true. But nobody likes to. I think what is frustrating for some is I think most people would agree with the core principles of a lot of the stuff that we all sort of agree with, right? Being treated with respect and judging people, as Martin Luther King said, by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. And human rights for everybody who's a human, just basic, like your basic core principles of life, and I think we do all agree with that, and that doesn't mean that the world's perfect, and that there are no racists or there are no misogynistic people or whatever. But if an alien came to this planet right now and was asked to assess planet Earth based on social media and news outlets, and I'm talking right news, I'm talking left news, I'm talking
news,
alternate media news, I'm talking the alternate the not alt news, but all media. I don't care what it is. They would honestly think the entire planet is full of mean, racist pigs that hate everybody on the, like, I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And I tell you, I mean, there's been many times where I, and that doesn't mean that there are no problems, but there have been times where I have put my phone down. I have, my girlfriend and I will go out for the afternoon. Maybe we'll go to a movie or we'll go, I don't know, we'll go for a walk or we'll go to the mall or something. And I will leave my phone at home. And I can tell you that I don't miss it. I actually don't miss it. And it feels good not to have it. Yeah, there's a few times where I go to check it out of habit. But when I realize it's not there, I'm like, oh yeah, I left my phone at home, whatever. Or I'll have it, but I'll leave it in the car. And we'll go into wherever we're going, like the mall or whatever, because sometimes the malls are open here. Whatever. I don't miss it.
Same thing. I've dropped my social media down to just one account for my general photography. Yeah. And obviously my business, that's my business is different. I don't look at that as like using, you know what I mean? Like it's for my business. It's different.
Yeah. It is, of course.
And I made that conscious decision, at the end of December. I was like, I had a really good run with the horror picks, but I'm checked out on it. I'm good. It was a fun ride. I did it for several years.
Yeah.
It'll be there, to see that. But I don't want to rely on social media anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to use that. Like, and I understand we live in that day and age now,
sure.
But I think because you and I spent half of our life without social media,
right?
I did the same thing. I don't really leave my car or my phone in my car simply because, we've had some problems in our area.
Gotcha.
And I don't want to invite temptation.
Yep.
But I make a conscious effort now to turn off my notifications on my phone so I don't see when I post a new photo on my photography account and I don't see anything. And I like that. I like that. Like, I feel like I'm kind of getting like control over my life again, because I felt like I was falling into, like, last year, well, really over the last couple years since COVID hit and everything, I felt like I was like falling into this black hole of an abyss of, like, just like you said, all this toxicity out there on all the media platforms, not just one side, but all of them.
It's everywhere. Like, it's everywhere.
And I'm like, this is not how I want to spend. Like, no, like, I am not doing this anymore.
Well, sorry, I should say it's that thing. I think I mentioned this like 6 months ago or whatever, when we had brought up something. Do you remember when Donald Trump was inaugurated,
telling
right?
Everybody he was great.
He was great. I'm amazing. I'm fucking amazing. No, but do you remember when he became president, and at his inauguration, there was that meme of that girl who was like, no, the no girl, right? Well, now that's somebody who's obviously on the left, who's like, no, all that kind of stuff, right? And what's ironic, and the right and alternate media would take that and would exploit that and use it, and sure, it's funny.
It's funny you say that, because I genuinely felt bad for the girl, because obviously this is not what she wanted to have.
No,
happen,
of course not. But let me just hang on. I just want to finish by saying, but the irony of it is that the right is, and again, I'm not trying to, we can talk about these things maturely. The right is just as bad. I mean, now they're just like, you could use that meme for the right as well, even though she's not you could totally use that. I mean, both the right and the left and also, it's all one big pile of toxic crap. Like, it really is, and I'm not saying there's not good stuff in there and there's not people doing good work. I mean, it's like, there are good, genuine people who truly believe they're doing good work in government as well. I mean, there are, you can find those people in the, their heart's in the right place all over the place. But as a general observation through social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, it's just so, it's tough to be inspired when every day you're being told why the world is so bad and why you're such a piece of garbage, and how you need to be not a piece of garbage. And I mean that on both sides. And it's kind of like, this is too much, man. It's too much. And that's why I've muted a lot of people who I follow. And again, I'm not talking about, like Darren or Frank or anybody like that. I'm talking about like celebrities, certain people that I've enjoyed following because of their entertainment content, and they have every right to talk about whatever they want to talk about. And I don't want to unfollow them, because I always hope one day they'll go back to talking about the work they do. But the
only one I follow now on YouTube, because I've stopped on Instagram, but on YouTube, I don't know if you ever heard of this dude, but like, he cracks me up, because I swear to God, I think he does an 8-ball of cocaine. And that's a joke. That's not, I don't mean that literally. The way he does his show, if you've ever seen him, you're gonna get who I'm talking about. Salty Cracker. Have you ever seen this dude?
No, never heard of him.
Like, dude, like, I don't watch it all the time, but occasionally, if I'm not doing anything and I catch him, like, this dude is amped up. Like I'm telling you, I feel like he does an 8-ball of cocaine.
He probably does.
He's just
listen, I've had people say that I do crack.
But the things that he says on his show, I'm like, holy shit.
Oh, okay,
I can't believe he's getting away with this on YouTube. Okay. Like, I'm like, God damn. Like,
it won't be long.
I think he's a little extreme on some of the stuff that he says, but it's like, what you really should, if you ever get a chance.
I will.
When he's live.
Salty Cracker?
Salty Cracker. I mean, I'm telling you, he's
never heard of him.
This dude goes balls to the walls, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, I can't.
Maybe he's hoping he gets canceled. Maybe that's sort of the.
Who knows? I mean, but he's got like close to 1 million people. But like, that's the like, and it's really, I will watch him when it's like I have nothing else to do and I just happen to catch it. But the rest of it, man, after January 6th, I was like, I am so done. Like, no, I'm not with it anymore. I'm not going to spend the rest of my time here fighting, bickering. And
life is too short. Shit. Life is too short. Life is too short. Hey, let's switch gears. Scream 5. You excited?
Yeah, when I get a chance to see it. I have no idea what they're going to, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, because we were just talking about with your theaters being closed, and depending on the franchise in where I live, some are open, some are closed, some are asking for proof of vaccination, some are not.
Right.
So I don't know. I hope I get to see it when it releases, but there's a chance that I may not, like you. And I don't know what Paramount is going to do. I obviously am very excited to see the movie. I haven't really watched anything since the first trailer. I watched a couple of behind the scene clips with Nev Campbell talking, because it's Nev.
It's Nev.
Fuck, it's Nev. Shit.
I got you.
I missed that. I'm excited because I do think they're going down this dark road, and I'm excited to see that. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're a fan of the first film. I'm a fan of the first and the last one, and the two in the middle. I'm just whatever. That's my whatever. With those two movies, so I'm hoping
it's got good early reviews.
That's what I'm seeing, but of course I take reviews for a grain of salt. Unless, I actually see the movie and, walk out of there kind of like what, the same thing. I heard the good things about Spider-Man No Way Home. And I was just like, well, I'm not a big comic book guy, but I posted on my Instagram as soon as I got out of the theater with my brother. I was like, oh, this was such a good, it was a fun ride. It was such a good movie, and that's what I'm hoping for, with this new Scream movie, because unfortunately with the Matrix, that just was disappointing. Like, really. Did you see it? Did you see Matrix?
I did not see the Matrix, but you did see the Matrix.
Yeah, I just, what they did to Neo and Trinity's, it was just they shitted on both those characters, and it was just like, oh my God, like, why? Well,
right.
Whatever. Is what it is. I'm really, really hoping Scream 5 just continues the legacy, produces a good movie, and where it goes after this, I'm not going to think that far ahead until I see the movie. I think once I see the movie, then I'll know, like, should they continue? Are they going to pull the gun on, killing off Neb's character? It's a ballsy move if they do. I don't think they're quite ready to make that type of commitment yet. Maybe one more, keeping her character around for one more and then send her off. I could see something like that. Because when you pull that trigger, I don't know. I don't know if you can get people in the seats to go see a Scream movie without Nev Campbell.
It's a tricky, it's a magic trick. When you have a series that is based, that is so emotionally attached to a set of characters, and you want to make the transition, it's like a sleight of hand magic trick. And what you have to do, if you want to do it really successfully, you have to build up. Like I really hope, and I don't get this from the trailers at all. I don't, and I'm not saying it's not true, but I don't get this from the trailers at all. The newcomers to the franchise, and I'm not saying it's true, I haven't seen the movie, but based on the promotional material, i.e. the trailers and TV spots, the newcomers to the franchise just look like a bunch of expendable college students. I don't feel any sort of like, and it could just be the way the trailers are cut and the way it's executed. When you see the movie, there might be some terrific development and, certain arcs for one or two of the characters that you really get attached to, maybe. And if you can build this up to really get attached to characters that we like, it always makes it much more easier to digest when you start to, wean us off the other three. Because right now people are just too emotionally attached to Nev and to Courtney Cox and to David Arquette, and as they should be. But if they are the strongest characters in this new movie and the others are just there, I think that's a problem, unless the goal is to do another trilogy with just those three. But then, you have to ask yourself, like, how many times can these three, like, even
survive?
Not right? I don't even just mean their act. Like, I mean, like the characters. I mean, wouldn't she just move and fuck it, forget it? Like, I don't even. So, in my estimation, the right way to do it is write and create well-developed characters. They don't have to be deep, but there has to be something about the characters that you like, that you find charming. I want to see more of her. I like that. I want to. She's cool. I want to.
Well, they
do
had
that
in Scream 4 with Kirby, which was why I was surprised they killed her character off, because I think fans really, in talking with fans of the franchise who are fans of Scream, Kirby is, if we're not talking about Nev, we're talking about Kirby. I think because one, she was a horror fan. She was the Randy type character from the first film. She knew her shit. They wrote her that way, and she played the actress Hayden Panettiere, I think is her name, something like that.
Not sure.
She played the part very well. Fans really embraced her, and you kind of had that not passing of the torch, but you had a moment or not a moment, a character that fans would have liked to have seen more of, and you could have continued on from Scream, and maybe that was Wes's plan. Maybe they had something planned out for 4 or 5 and 6 already.
Yeah.
And because Wes Craven died, this is the direction they're going in. I mean, who knows? I have no idea. Because I think Kevin Williamson did not do Scream 4.
I don't think he did. I don't think he did.
So it would have been interesting to see if Kirby had survived, what the 5 and 6 would have been like had Wes Craven not passed so soon.
Right.
Well, actually, now it's been like 10 years almost.
He died in 2015.
So, okay, 8 years, 7 years. Yeah, 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years this year.
So yeah, but yeah, I get what you're saying. So you've got to have that type of dynamic with these character arcs in this film, like you were doing in Scream 4, because I believe that they had established that in Scream 4. There were certain characters that, because like Scream 2 and 3, they were all disposable. Like I didn't care about anything. Even Randy, like when he got off, I was like, whatever.
Right.
I just didn't care at that point. But Scream 4 was different. The way they wrote the characters, like I said, I thought they did a really good job with that. And they could have continued on within that part of a new trilogy. But they didn't. And, here we go. And maybe they'll give us something like that. Now, I do know a lot of what we've seen in the trailers, according to them, is not going to be shown in the movie. So if they live up to that and
we'll
go
see
to the movie and we see something different, yeah, we'll see what happens.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I'm curious to
when.
When that's just it.
I don't know what's going to happen next week.
I don't know. Hey,
like you said, little by little, everything is kind of starting to shut down again. And
I know.
January 22nd rolls around, it's gonna be like,
That's it. Super chat from David Coe, $9.99. This is from earlier. Says, can we get a fuck it, let's do it live? Also, if the 7 killers in the Scream movies thus far, which ones did you see coming the most and least? For me personally, both were in Scream 2. Okay, well, David Coe, fuck it, we'll do it live. Fuck it.
Yeah, Scream 2 was predictable. I knew it was what's his name there?
I forget
the guy who plays in the remake in the he's in the
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Shit.
He always reminds me of Johnny Knoxville a bit.
Right, a little bit. He kind of has a Johnny Knoxville type vibe.
Yeah.
Fuck, I forget his name.
Anyways, him. I know who you're talking about.
He was predictable and I kind of knew they were gonna go with the brother route, since like all of a sudden now Sydney has a brother, and I was just like, oh, okay, here we go. And I just had a weird feeling it was that idiot at the end of the film. And but Scream 4, I sort of was picking up on the vibe that it could be Sydney's cousin, but then when they went down the road with Culkin as the killer with
Timothy Oliphant. Thank you, Derry.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you, Timothy Oliphant. Thank you very much. I like him. He's done some cool shit that I've enjoyed him.
Yeah, The Crazies was good.
Crazies was really good. It was a
I did
remake.
a spot for The Crazies years ago.
The remake. The
remake. Yeah. Not the original.
Were you born when that
No.
came out?
I don't know. Was I? I don't know. When was the original?
No, that was,
I can't remember.
Romero did that in.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I obviously was.
70s.
No.
I think.
No. It was after.
I don't think we were even sperm yet, dude.
No. The first movie trailer I ever did was The Descent in 2005. I did a trailer for that, and then shortly after, because I think The Crazies was in and around 05 or 06, and I remember I did a spot for The Crazies. I don't know if that's. I have the spot I did for The Descent. I've shared that. I don't know if I don't think I have the spot I did for The Crazies. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, I actually liked the movie. Yeah, I liked it.
It was a good movie.
I liked it.
So we'll see. What did you have any other super?
Oh yeah. A bunch actually came in here. Let's see. Happy Sanjo sends in $2. Just says, "Hey Dave and Tony." Mohammed Nabil, I think. This is 25. I don't know what the dollar or what the The currency is here, but 25, thank you very much. That could be 25. That could be $3. I have no idea, but whatever it is, thank you so much for sending it in. Are you a fan?
I want someone who has a currency of like 1 million just to see that, but it's actually only like $2.
$2. Yeah. Are you a fan of Scorsese? I am. If so, what are a few of your favorites of his? Also, how would you two rank Goodfellas, Casino, Godfather 1 and 2, Scarface? Oh, I have no idea. My favorite Scorsese films would probably be, I really like Goodfellas. I really like Shutter Island, actually, believe it or not, one of his later movies. Really like The Departed and Raging Bull.
With Departed, Gangs of New York.
Yeah. Did he do Scarface? I think he did.
No, he didn't do Scarface. He did Raging Bull, though.
Brian De Palma did Scarface. Yeah. That's right.
Goodfellas, that was going to be my first choice. Goodfellas.
Goodfellas is good. Casino's good too. How would I rank those? I don't know.
Casino, and then Casino for me is kind of like I got to be in a mood to watch Casino. You know, whereas I can watch Goodfellas anytime. Like it could be 30 minutes into the movie, and I'll just pick it up from there and watch it. Just Goodfellas, just iconic. But of those movies that he mentioned, Scarface, Goodfellas, The Godfather 1 and 2,
Casino.
Godfather 1 and 2 will always be, I grew up, my father is from like, literally his family's from like off the boat, Italy. So like that movie was quoted constantly, growing up as kids. I remember cause like my aunt was, one of 5 children, and she's the only girl, 4 boys, right? So anytime we would sit down during the holiday dinners, and my uncle, of course, her husband would be Vinny, right? So Uncle Vinny. The kid doesn't get any more Italian than that. My dad or my uncle would bust out, hey Chris, go show Vinny the tree. Quoting lines from The Godfather, like what they would tell Tyler Shire's character. I can't remember her name.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
But her husband, Carl, go show Carl the tree.
Right.
It was just constantly like that movie, just for sentiment reasons, will always, because of that, it was just such a big part of the lexicon of my family's joking around dialogue at the dinner table and whatnot. But I probably say I watch Goodfellas more of all the movies. Scarface I like, again, it's kind of one of those moods, I got to be in the mood to watch Scarface.
Yeah, it's a long movie.
It is. It's a long movie. It's
always Godfather too, though.
Godfather, both of them are long. Connie, thanks. That was her name, Connie.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, Adrian.
I got you, Adrian.
Connie, we did it.
I think I'd probably go with Goodfellas as one that I watch more frequently.
Right.
And on a regular basis. It's
I don't know how I would.
Pesci and De Niro at their best.
I know.
Ray Liotta.
I know. I don't know how I would rate them, because there's a few there that I haven't seen in a while. So I don't really know, but I love all of them. And Goodfellas is just, you got Pesci. I mean, anything Pesci is in.
That laughing scene has become one of the most epic memes ever.
I know, it's so good. It's such
you can use it for anything, really.
But it's such a, it's the way they look, like they're like it's so it's so like they are, it's like,
it's so over the top laughing.
It's so over the top, but it's the epitome of a still photo with laughing that there's no pointing, but basically what that image is them going, you fucking suck. That's exactly what you get from that image. It's just the way Ray Liotta looks, where he's just like, it's just the way he looks. You can totally translate you fucking suck from that image. And it's just so great. Yeah, it's great. I don't know how I'd rate them though, but I do love them all. Let's see here. Happy Sanjo sends in $5. Thank you, Happy. Says, you ever heard of a game called Dead by Daylight? Yes, you can play as Michael Myers. I have. It is a multiplayer game, but the game has a Myers house map. Yeah, I played it when it came out a few years ago, and it was okay. It was an interesting concept. It kind of is limited in what you can do and how far you can go. I've always been an advocate they never do this. The cost of this would just be way too much. And I don't even know if there'd be enough people that would play it. Like, I don't know if it has obviously all horror fans and Halloween fans would play it, but I don't know if it would have the broad appeal that you would need with the scope that I'm talking about, I would love to see an open world like Grand Theft Auto Halloween type game where you play, you can drive around Haddonfield, Smiths Grove, Russellville. You can play as Loomis or as Myers or any of the characters. You get to unlock certain masks, certain characters, and then, you know, you can play like in Haddonfield from 78, Haddonfield from Halloween 4, Haddonfield from Rob Zombie's movies. Like it's got everything. It is fucking the million, like people, I mean, if you're a gamer, you know this, but there are some games that cost as much as like it would cost to do like a Marvel movie. There are some games that have budgets of like hundreds of millions of dollars, and you know it would be I stand to be corrected on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm accurate on that, depending on the game. You could never do it, but I would love to see a Halloween game like that, where it starts you off as maybe you're Loomis and you don't have a trench coat and you have to unlock, you know, and do certain things to get a trench coat or to get the car or to drive to Haddonfield. You don't drive to Haddonfield right away, you know, and all that kind of shit. And, you know, if you get to play as Myers, you don't get the mask that you want necessarily right away. And, you know, that'd be fucking crazy. It would not have the broad appeal. It probably wouldn't make even close to its money back, but it definitely would be a huge staple in the horror genre. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really into video games. I know what Dead by Daylight is. I've seen, you know, YouTube videos of it. I mean, it looks cool. I've never played it. You know, my gaming really ends.
It's all right.
Early 90 gaming.
Gotcha.
Know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like,
Super Nintendo, Sega.
Yeah, exactly. Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and that's about it for me.
Well, we both have the what's it called, the Hytron or whatever it is, the
that thing down there, the Retron 5.
The Retron 5. I got the Retron 5 as well.
My old school games.
Well, I didn't have I had to go where I bought my Retron 5. Is that what it's called? A Retron 5?
Mine's a Retron 5.
Okay, I think I is it purple and black?
Mine's purple and gray.
Purple and gray.
Kind of
okay.
looks like the old. It actually has the body style similarities to the old
Super NES,
Nintendo.
right? Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
NES,
yeah, I have that. I have the exact same one, and I bought it in this store not too far away from me, where they sell all the old used games. And of course, on mine, you have the one on mine. I can play Nintendo and Super Nintendo, but you have the one where you can play Sega too, as well, right?
I can play Game Boy, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
Amazing.
There's 5. Game Boy, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and Sega.
And Sega.
5. Retron
Okay.
5.
Okay.
Yeah, and Sega.
Then mine must not be the 5 then. Mine must be something else. Maybe mine's the 2. Mine must be the 2. The Retron 2 or whatever. Because I can play Super NES and Nintendo games. Anyway, so I bought... it's amazing that some of these games I bought were like the cost of what they were back in the 80s, because they're fucking hip and it's, you know, cool now. Not all of them, but there was one that was like really expensive again. But anyway, so I picked up Mario 2, Mario 3, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Blades of Steel. I picked up Super Mario World and the Ninja Turtle game.
I have Blades of Steel, but the hockey game I play the most, which I still think to this day is one of the best just well-made hockey games, is
NHL 94.
94. Yeah.
It's
one of the best.
It is.
Yeah,
it's great. Oh,
I love
it.
I mean, granted, the graphics now that there's that you see,
no comparison.
No comparison. But if you are our age, NHL 94 was just like, it was shit. 94 through 96. NHL 94 through 96, 94, 95, 96. I played that so much. And me and my buddies would play it. We'd do seasons. We'd play against each other on the same team. Could you do on the same teams? I can't remember. But we would definitely play. But we definitely play against each other.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And all that shit like that.
It was crazy. It was crazy. All right, let's see here. HT's Story sends in $5. Says, hey, Dave and Tony, I'm a filmmaker. I'm planning to shoot a reverse found footage horror film. What are your thoughts on found footage films in general? Reverse found footage? What do you mean by that?
You're going to start with the end and go back to the beginning?
That'd be cool. Maybe that's what he means. That's kind of cool. What are my thoughts on... our thoughts on found footage films in general. Well, I've always said this. I actually believe that the found footage genre, unfortunately, I agree with those that say it's saturated and it's kind of lame. And, you know, I agree with that because I don't think it was ever really done. Like, there's a few found footage movies that are really good, but there was such an opportunity to have a subgenre that was really scary. And unfortunately, it didn't quite go that way. It's been overly produced. I think a lot of found footage movies are overly produced, and what I mean by that is it's a little too polished to be something that you just found in the woods. That's the way it looks. Sound effects
in the recent
like
years that have been okay. Like, would we call Unfriended found footage?
Maybe it's a cousin. Yeah, I like that film. I mean, there's some that are all right, but unfortunately,
Hell House I thought was pretty decent.
Yeah, it's unfortunately become sort of like a punchline. You know, when somebody says found footage, people kind of roll their eyes, and it's unfortunate because I think there was an opportunity there, and there might still be an opportunity to deliver. I mean, a horror film, especially a horror movie, because that's really where you find the found footage shit is in horror. It's not like you're finding a found, footage action movie or something, right? It's all about horror. I still think as saturated as it is, there are opportunities for a real scary found footage movie that becomes a just so frightening and maybe even penetrates the pop culture zeitgeist.
Yeah, I've said that with
like the Blair Witch
slasher
project,
or slasher, something on the slasher genre. Like, we've not seen that. We haven't seen slasher done in the style of Blair Witch or Unfriended or Hell House or whatever. We haven't seen.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I don't know how people would respond to that because people might go, maybe you're getting a little too real with it, but maybe that's where we need to go because you're not going to get away with the shit we did in the 80s.
If it's too gimmicky, it'll outstay its welcome pretty quick. But I like the idea of a found footage slasher movie. I like that.
We're basing it on like, shit, is this like real? Like,
right. Yeah. You could do it like you could even do a home invasion where somebody is filming the entire home invasion on their home. So on their home, on their phone.
And not only
on
that,
their phone.
But nowadays there's so many security cameras in people's houses.
Well, that's it too. That's it too. You know what I mean? But imagine a movie like Mike Flanagan's Hush, okay, which is a great movie. Have you seen that movie?
Not yet.
Hush. Oh, dude, you got to fucking see it. It's great. It stars. It's 2016, I think. It's directed by him. It stars his wife. Great film. It's about this woman played by his wife who's deaf, and she's gone up north or to this house cabin type place to get away to write to write. She needs to be in solitude to write, right? And an intruder shows up. Well, she's deaf. So, and the intruder suddenly not right away, but eventually picks up on the fact that she's deaf. And now it becomes this cat and mouse game between she doesn't fucking hear. It's almost like Don't Breathe, but with somebody who's deaf as opposed to blind. And it's done really well, but it's not like it's much more independent feeling than Don't Breathe. Don't Breathe has that, studio polish sort of to it. This has more of that independent vibe, and it's really, really, really well done. I think you'd like it. And so
it's called Hush.
It's called Hush. Yeah. So for people out there, is that imagine Hush, but from the perspective of like a found footage thing, right? Where you're, it's all from that perspective where there's somebody trying to break in, you don't know what to do or something like that. There's a lot of untapped stuff for sure that you could do.
Oh, it's on Netflix. Okay.
Oh yeah. Check it out. I think you'd really like it.
Yeah.
I think you'd really like it. It's really good. I watched it a few years ago on a recommendation from one of my viewers and I was like, oh, okay. And I watched it and I thought it was great. Another movie I just watched actually just the other day that I really enjoyed. Never heard of it. It's a remake of a French film. It's an Australian movie called Angel of Mine. And it's on Netflix, at least where I am. And it's about this woman who, it stars, I forget her name now. Oh, I always get her name mixed up. The girl that played, what's her face, from the Millennium trilogy, the Swedish films, the original films, the girl with the dragon tattoo, the girl that kicks that kicked the hornet's nest. What's her name from the? Anyways, the girl that played the original in that she's in this film, And it's about this woman who, about 7 or 8 years ago, she lost her infant in a fire at a hospital. And it was tragic. She obviously has been dealing with a lot of PTSD because of that. Her marriage has broken up. They share custody of their son. Anyways, long story short, not to give too much away, but she ends up seeing a little girl who would be about the age of her daughter if she had survived, who looks remarkably like how she believes her daughter would look today. And she is convinced it is her daughter. And so you can imagine how this rolls out. And if you've seen 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams, that's kind of the vibe of this movie. It's called Angel of Mine, and it's actually
creepy in that movie.
Yeah, well, you get the same sort of thing here. Now, I won't tell you whether she's right or wrong, whether it ends up being, what it is. But it was a movie I knew nothing about. I was scrolling Netflix. It was like 1 a.m. I really should have been going to bed, but I was kind of up, and I found this movie, and I liked the premise, so I watched it. I knew nothing about it, and I really enjoyed it. So I recommend Angel of Mine.
Angel of Mine and Hush.
Yeah, it's not a horror movie. Angel of Mine's not a horror movie. It's more of just a psychological thriller, I guess. But I really dug the performances from the two leading ladies, let's just say. Great performances and genuine moments of suspense. I was like, this is a creepy movie, And again, I won't tell you how it ends, but really, really good. But Hush, yeah, I think you'd enjoy it. But yeah, I think there's room to build on the found footage subgenre.
Yeah, I think doing a slasher, but making it real, you know what I mean? Like, pulling from stories that, from real serial killer stories, getting inspiration from that to utilize within your film. That could be deep and that could be, intense. And I wouldn't I wouldn't worry about theming it. I wouldn't worry about atmosphere sounds, because the whole point of theming, meaning like, don't worry about a soundtrack. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean by theming it.
Well, that's what was so great about the Blair Witch Project was, and although I did enjoy aspects of Blair Witch from 2016, it was the one thing
minus the sound design.
Right. The 2016 film felt overproduced. And so when shit began to hit the fan, it didn't sound like the or whatever was happening was in the space, in the environment that they were in. It sounded like it was produced. It was added after. I don't mean it sounded bad. It just sounded like how it would be if it wasn't a found footage movie. And the one thing that I appreciate, although the Blair Witch Project, is an acquired taste for some. I understand not a lot happens, but what drew people in was the marketing. Of course, it was one of the first films to be marketed online in that way, for sure. People thought that there was a section of the population that thought it was real. I get that. But what was brilliant about that movie is that it wasn't overly produced. It was just, there was no music, I don't even think. They were just out there and just going through it. And,
there was no, the only sound design was when they did some shit to the kids, or at the time kids.
Right. And all the sound sounded like it was picked up, on location, Foley on the mics. It was really, really, really well done. Really, really well done. And that's why it feels real.
There's your next horror movie, Dave. That's what you should do. You should do the first slasher found footage movie.
We'll see.
You probably could do it.
I could, yes. If I had the money.
If you designed it the way you're describing it, it shouldn't really...
I'd like it.
You too much.
I like to do it. Matthew Fressy sends in $1.99. Thank you very much, Matthew. Dreed Mem77 sends in $10. Says, welcome back, guys. Good to see y'all again. Have you guys had a chance to watch Scream 4 or Cobra Kai? If so, what did you think? Well, Scream 4 watched years and years ago. Cobra Kai.
Scream 4, yeah. I was like, wait.
Unless he means 5. But 5's not out yet. I haven't, but no, I couldn't even go to an advanced screening at all because all the theaters here in Toronto are closed anyway. I would say that I did watch all 10 episodes of season 4 of Cobra Kai, and I thought I didn't know where they were going to go, but I liked it. I enjoyed the season. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I definitely enjoyed it. I liked it. But like Tony, it's kind of like, I don't know how much more you can do. Like, I understand that they're keeping, they're bringing back people, but it feels kind of like maybe 5-6 seasons might be, you don't want to keep going too far. But maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm not the Karate Kid expert here on the show. That is Tony. So Tony, I liked the season. I enjoyed it. I found it I found it more entertaining than season 2 or 3. I forget which one it was. But certainly it was par for the course. It was right along how you would expect it to go. I didn't think it was awful. I didn't think it was it was good. It was fine. I was entertained each episode. It was funny and, it kept going. How do you think, now you've seen it, where do you think,
seen it a couple times, yeah.
Okay. So as the Karate Kid expert here on the panel, I mean, are you feeling like, okay, guys, let's wrap this up, or do you think they could keep going?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. With you don't want to spoil a good thing, and I think I know that they've already shot season 5. It's in post production, and it's going to come out at the end of this year. And I know they're already beginning. They're storyboarding season 6. 6 has already been written. Okay. I can't imagine. If they're going to do it the way I think they're going to do it, I mean, you're going to have, Silver and Barnes as your final nemesis.
Silver and Barnes sounds like a lawyer.
I know, right?
Silver and Barnes, come get your money.
I will be shocked if Mike Barnes does not show up at this point. I mean, I'd be like, wow, that's a right. poor slap to the, and look, there's no fault to the actor that, unfortunately for him, and I found some shit out that I didn't know. Not to get sidetracked here, but I was watching a lot of the the interviews that they were giving, because they were doing their press tour, if you want to call that a press tour,
right?
But I guess there was a lot of feuding going on during the filming of Karate Kid 3, so much so that even both actors were really Sean Kanan, I think is his name, and Ralph Macchio were really questioning, like, is this the right move to do with Daniel? Because you know what I mean? Like, he had already gone through the bullying process in the first film. Fans have talked about this till they're blue in the face. He has a death match with arguably the most dominant fighter or opponent that Daniel has faced. If you were to look at Johnny, Chosen, and Mike Barnes, Chosen is pretty much the far superior opponent, and he defeated him.
Right.
Mike Barnes was really just a bully for 90 minutes to Daniel, and Daniel gets this one lucky punch in, at the end of the movie. It beats Barnes through kata, of all things. I'm like, in hindsight now, as cool as it looks when Miyagi and Daniel are doing the kata during the Bill Conti score transition.
Yeah, I love that.
That's great. But to do it in the tournament, I was just like,
right.
Really? Like, okay, like, what the fuck? And in hearing Ralph Macchio talked about, the one good thing about Karate Kid 3, which we now has been totally solidified and sealed, is Terry Silver is by far the villain of this franchise, and his character arc in this season, like, there was moments where I was like pulling for the guy, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, this motherfucker is doing this shit, what the hell? Like, and I love that. And then finally we see the full reveal at the end of him betraying Kreese, and he is the bad guy of this franchise. I'm like, there we go, that's the Terry Silver I know.
Do you want to know what it is for me as a bit of an outsider? I think what it is for me is Kreese is great. He was great in the original series. And he's still intimidating.
Yeah.
But what is interesting, what I notice about, and again, and this is somebody who's new. I mean, I haven't seen the Karate Kid 3 in decades. So when Silver shows up, I don't have the same sort of, but what I find interesting is that I agree with you. The way Terry Silver, that's not his real name, but the character.
Terry Silver, I know what you're saying.
The way he is so suave and manipulative and genuinely physically intimidating. And now I do believe actually in real life, the actor does have some.
He is. He's Thomas Ian Griffith. He's a martial artist.
He's a martial artist. Okay. So, yeah. But the way he is, I almost, maybe it's because Kreese, what's his name again? The actor that plays him? Crove, or what the hell's his name?
Oh, the actor Martin Cove.
Martin Cove.
Like,
That's
I
it.
drew a blank for a second there. I was like, Crease. Like, oh yeah,
No,
Crease,
no.
that guy.
Martin Cove. So now Martin Cove is I believe close to 75, or he's like 73 or something. He's in his 70s. He looks a little frail, certainly more frail than he did, 30 years ago, as we're all essentially going to look that way. And I believe, again, I'm just an outsider. Not that Crease isn't intimidating, and he's not maybe physically intimidating at certain moments, but I find Silver
more evil.
Yeah, there's something about
like,
his,
do not trust this fucking dude.
Yeah, Crease.
For anything.
And maybe
with
it's because
Crease's
of the age.
Backstory, I also think Crease has a bit of a redeeming factor to him, that he could be redeemed, whereas I don't think Silver can be redeemed.
So are we saying that Crease is Vader and Silver is the Emperor?
I think we're going to see a Vader like moment with because of Crease, because there is a fatherly like relationship that Crease has with Johnny, right? That we clearly see in this season 4.
It's a fucked up relationship.
It's fucked up, but like, there's a line that Crease will not cross with Johnny. He might push it to the limits, but ultimately, if Crease, in Crease's world, Crease wants Johnny by his side doing Cobra Kai, to with him. And the reason why, and I'm not discrediting Barnes's character, but the reality of this is when you're basing fighting skills, okay. Miyagi basically went in there and destroyed Barnes, Crease, and Silver on his own, and he's all of like yay high, and which is why I'm saying Chosen, who also knows Miyagi-Do and is taught by Sato, is obviously going to be the more superior fighter. That's why Daniel should not have been bullied at that point of where he was in his skill. I'm not saying he knew everything about Miyagi-Do, but was a few years, well, based on the timeline, he was a year into it, really. He should have had a bit more confidence, especially surviving a death match. Right. So when I say Chosen is the far more superior fighter, I'm basing it on the fact that when Miyagi confronted them, and Miyagi obviously now is at his, he's Miyagi and he knows his shit. He destroys all 3 of them in a fight in Karate Kid 3. So I can only imagine with what Chosen knows now, and what Chosen was teaching Daniel, if Chosen were to, which I'm hoping they do. And of course, obviously it comes down to the writers of how they're going to write, if they're going to set it up to where Chosen and Barnes do meet each other in either 5 or 6. It would be stupid if they make it look as if Barnes comes out on top. It would not make any sense, because Chosen at this point is basically Miyagi. He's the lineage for Daniel. He's that connection, and he's Sato.
He's Yoda.
Also, basically, in more or less,
Obi-Wan
Sato,
Kenobi,
who was Chosen's uncle, who's also taught by Miyagi's father. Everything with Miyagi-Do. If I were to rank all the fighters in this franchise, in past and present, I would go Miyagi, Sato, Chosen, Terry Silver, Johnny, Mike Barnes, Daniel, Crease, because I do think, because we already seen Daniel and Crease fight in season 3, and then the chick, Hilary Swank. What the hell was her character's name?
I don't know. I've never seen that movie.
Julie.
Fascinating, interesting.
But as far as season 4 goes, my only gripe, which we talked about at the beginning before we went live, was I wish Tori had won the tournament legitimately. I felt like the story arcs that they were going in this season, for example with Sam, like, it's okay to lose. I felt like that was her arc that she needed to learn. Which when Johnny was training Sam, that she needed to learn that in life you're going to lose at times, but you know what? It's okay. So when she lost to Tori, I was okay with Sam losing, the title match to Tori. I was not okay. I felt that Tori's character arc has been so beaten down in life. Again, we're talking about the character, and everything that she's going through with her sick mother and having to work jobs and all this shit. Like, I felt Tori deserved that break and say, you know what? She beat Sam. legitimately beat Sam. I didn't like that they went down that road with her character. So that was my only one.
Yeah,
with the season.
I felt the same way too. I was hoping that they could have just, now maybe they'll be able to, it might be for a specific reason, obviously, but it would have been nice to see her get the win legitimately.
Right?
Yeah.
When I saw that at the end, I was like, no, like, don't do that.
I know what you mean.
But everything else with the season and the arcs I thought were really great. Johnny and Daniel, look, nothing is ever going to top, the fight that William Zabka and Ralph Macchio did in the first film, and how you clearly see, and they've even talked about it in interviews, that when they were making the film, and there's the Avildsen videos out there on YouTube that you can watch, the director of the original Karate Kid, he got all that behind the scenes. He basically filmed the movie twice. He made it all behind the scene shit and filmed that, and then filmed the movie. But I didn't realize, because a lot of this stuff wasn't captured, that William Zabka and Ralph Macchio, when they would be done filming their scenes or rehearsing their scenes, they would go off and rehearse their fight. They literally did that for months on end, which makes sense, because when you do look at that final fight between Daniel and Johnny, as far as acting goes, you're talking about two actors who don't know karate. They were fluid and when you watch it, you're like, yeah, these boys put in some serious time. So when they brought the rematch in, I was like, all right, what are we going to get here? Because I was nervous, because you don't want to ruin what was so epic in 1984 between the fight between them. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to ruin that with middle-aged men who are going to fight again. I liked what they did. It was cute. They both hit each other, knocked each other out. It's a tie. Okay, I get it. They didn't want to pull the trigger on one was better than the other. But everything in regards to their on and off again love-hate relationship, where they're at now, where there's a bit of a mutual respect. I hope we stay there with it. Like, I'm kind of over the whole, like, Daniel holds a grudge for shit that happened 40 years ago.
Yeah,
30 years ago. Like, I'm over it. Like, there comes a point here, either we're going to move past this.
What if the moving past is one of them has to legitimately save another, like the other's life? And I don't mean in like a combat moment. I mean like in a car accident or something that happens where maybe there's like there's a fight, or there's something that's happening, or like something where like Daniel gets into a car accident, or Johnny gets into something, and maybe the car is on fire or something, and one of them has to pull one from the flames, or I don't know. I mean, it's a little cliche, but something where that legitimately sort of seals the deal of, got to put this to bed, and it has nothing to do with karate or each other's dojos or anything. It's just more about just everyday human stuff, that might be interesting.
They could. I think when the series comes to an end, one or two things are going to happen. Either Johnny will get Cobra Kai back, and he will become it'll come full circle. And we'll know that Cobra Kai lives on through Johnny teaching. Miyagi-Do will be there. I don't need to see Sam win, even though, by technicality, she did win against Tori in this fight. Because Tori did step out of bounds. And,
I agree with you.
We fans see what happened. Yeah. But
that's just whatever. It, right?
Mary, what's her name? Mary Mauser, I think is the actress name. There's a YouTube video out there where the kid who plays Hawk, I don't know the kid's name, because I really don't follow these kids that much. They're kids, you know what I mean? Like, I feel it's kind of weird, but Mary Mauser, I do know. And she's asked by the kid, because it's behind the scenes footage, and it's the trophies there, and he's like, "So Mary, do you think you're gonna get one of these?" And she turns around, she's like, "It all depends on how they write it."
It's true. It is true.
That's an honest answer. It's like,
it is true.
I mean,
and Sam didn't win. That's people have to understand. She didn't win that fight. I mean, she did, because the ref was corrupt. But when what's her face? I forget her name in the show. But Tori, is it? Tori?
Yeah, Tori is her name in the
She legitimately stepped out of bounds. Sorry.
After Sam got the point.
And so now, hypothetically, So it was had Sam got that point, if you watch it again and you add up how had Sam actually got that point, then all she needed, I think, was one extra one. And she eventually did get one extra one because it was the one that was made up. Well, she would have won the fight fairly, but she didn't. Yeah. She didn't. And I am okay. Look, I mean, how they write it, it all depends on what is the message and the moral that you're trying to tell. Rocky didn't beat Apollo in that first movie. In Rocky Balboa, he lost. Now, he lost by decision, but it was all about going the distance. That's what that movie was really all about, is coming from a place and proving, like, this guy that has no business beating the world heavyweight champion. No business. Who the fuck is this guy? What? And he steps into the ring and he beats the heavyweight, not beats, but he goes the distance and with the heavyweight champion of the world, something that not a lot of opponents had done with Apollo, Creed, if ever. Yeah. And he's for all intents and purposes, he's a bum. He's a bum from the streets. That's why Stallone will often say that it's not yes, it's a sports movie, sure, but it really is a love story and a drama about believing in yourself. You can replace boxing with hockey, baseball, football, soccer, something else, and you can tell the same story to a degree. Maybe it would have to be a one-on-one sport, but you could tell it. So, if Sam doesn't end up winning, now the fact that she didn't win here and she was cheated out kind of tells me that they're probably going to have to give it to her fairly. Well,
yeah, they're setting it up for the obvious, which I'm like, do we need that?
Because that's not what it's really about.
No, because
that's not what martial arts is really about.
When Daniel beats Johnny in the first film, one of the things that they don't really talk about here, okay, which whatever, it is what it is. I guess they're just overlooking it. When Daniel hits him with the crane, Johnny's the one who hands the trophy to Daniel and says, right, good match, LaRusso, you're all right. You know what I mean? Like they didn't really end on this friction between each other. If you felt like everything, came full circle and that they were okay, but but we're not going to talk. They've never once in the 4 seasons so far talked about how, or Johnny has never brought it up. Like, I was the bigger man. I gave him the,
did they not get into like sort of fights in the other, was Johnny in part 2? He was in part 2, right?
No, part 2 at the beginning, there's a scene that was actually filmed for part 1. That was supposed to be the beginning of part 2 was actually supposed to be the actual end of part 1, where they're out in the parking lot and Miyagi and Kreese have that encounter when and there's a lot that there's new footage that's filmed footage. I didn't even know that this scene was even filmed. Do you remember a couple weeks ago or a month ago, I was telling you about one of the actors or the characters, Bobby, who injures Daniel's leg in part 1. And he goes up to Kreese afterwards, takes off the belt and puts it down. Yeah. Well, I always thought that was something they had done only in rehearsals. Right. Well, now there's actually footage of it showing up on YouTube. They really shot that scene. And I'm like, you need to put that into a fucking director's cut because the quality of this scene is really good. That's so important because what it says to me is after the tournament, why did Daniel and Johnny have this grudge with each other still when it seemed like they were cool with each other? It seemed like Bobby, to me, would have made amends with Daniel and said, hey man, I'm sorry for what we did to you. And then they just went on their way with, school and graduating and shit. But there's no real mention of them, of what's going on, which is why I liked how they introduced, or like when Silver shows up to Miyagi-Do and Johnny's just like, who's this dude? You know what I mean? I thought that was well done. I was torn on, but I think I know why they're doing it. I was torn on on Silver beating Johnny as the more, stronger fighter. But my guess is the setup for that will be for Chosen to basically come in and kick the crap out of Kreese and Barnes, basically Miyagi style in season 5. Yeah. Because I think season 5, I think Miguel's going to be off doing his shit with his, looking for his dad. Johnny's going to be there with Robbie helping him out based on the behind the scene photos that I've seen. The actors were at some, I don't know, Florida beach or some shit or whatever, filming. And back in Georgia, LA, because they film not too far from where I live. I think it's good. The heart of the season is going to be centered around Daniel and Chosen going after Barnes and if they or Silver if they don't. I don't know, because Sean Kanan, he doesn't strike me as a guy. I feel for this guy because he's been so championing for himself to get back into this series. I would feel really bad if this dude does not get invited back to the party, and like Hilary Swank does.
Right.
I mean?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. There's nothing been confirmed. Just because Terry says that line at the end, I got some friends that I can call to help me out.
Right.
Everybody's obviously thinking Mike Barnes immediately, but they may decide to go a different route. I have no idea. It would be really disappointing if they did that. But more importantly, what I do want to say with regards to Cobra Kai and what it has managed to successfully do is it's kept its roots to the original 3 films, regardless of what people think of the third film, good or bad. It's kept to its roots. It never sold out, and it humorously tied in a lot of the political correctness that's going on today, especially when Johnny's approaching all the girls to recruit the girls. In this season, I was just like, what the hell? Like, there were some lines in there that, like the girl's like, I'm asexual. And then like, he goes, yeah, my guy over here, he's something sexual or whatever. I was just like, yeah, that's what a 40-year-old or 50-year-old would say to a young kid.
That's funny.
So the writers,
that was good. I
really,
like that too.
The writers have been really good at being able to ride the line without offending the PC culture, but also staying true to the characters of Cobra Kai or the Karate Kid. But yeah, just to kind of close it up here, I agree with you. I think 6, that's a good. I can't see like why you would need. They say they've got 20 episodes left, which they're splitting up into 2 10-episode seasons. So I can't see why, like, what would be the need for it? Because what are you going to do? Like, are we going to go now into the
like I said to you before we went live, you have to be careful. Each seasons are good, but if you keep going, there's going to be that one where everybody goes, oh, should have ended it, last season or whatever. Very cool. I see some people in the chat saying if we could wish Chester Franklin Jr. a happy birthday. He says his birthday is January 12th. Chester, happy early birthday, my man.
Happy birthday.
Happy early birthday. Stay out of trouble, Chester. Keep cool.
Yeah,
keep
we're
cool.
gonna be the big 4-3 this year.
Let's not talk about that, Tony. Let's not talk about that.
We're gonna have to go get our colons checked out soon.
Well, that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen.
Mid 40s, man.
All right. So, where are we here? Wow. Hang on a sec here. Right. Okay. David Coe sends in $9.99, says, just curious what both of your parents thought of you guys being artists. I know a lot of older generation parents have a harder time with that, or say that sounds like a good side job, etc. My parents were actually very supportive. That's one of the things that I often say has helped me. I can't speak for my siblings, but I think they feel the same way, has helped me at the very least, through their, deaths. My mother sadly passed away of cancer in the summer of 2011, and my dad died of a heart attack that fall. So only 2.5 months apart. Now, my parents, as I've mentioned many times before, because some people think that, maybe that my dad was so depressed of my mom's death that he had he was very upset, of course, but my parents hadn't been married in about 25 years when they died. My dad and my mother were always friendly with each other, obviously, because they had 4 kids. But when my dad died, they were not together. They'd been divorced for many years. But the last time I saw my dad, unfortunately, was at my mother's funeral. He did come to the the funeral. So, but what made it, now it wasn't easy, of course. It was not arguably, it was the worst moments of my life. Absolutely. But what made it easier, I think, going through that was I never not knew what my parents thought of me. I always knew that my parents were very supportive of me in my life choices in terms of my career and all that kind of stuff. And I had a good relationship with both of them. Not everybody does have a good relationship with their parents. There are some scuzz. I mean, just because you birthed somebody doesn't mean you're a great mom or a great dad or you deserve that title. There's a lot of scum-sucking pieces of shit mothers and fathers out there. There's a lot of great mothers and fathers out there too. And I was very fortunate, although not perfect parents, obviously, nobody is, but I was very fortunate I thought I saw a cobweb there. I was very fortunate to have parents that I had a good relationship with that were very supportive of me. So they were very supportive in my choices, in what I did when I went to school, after school. My mother was very supportive when I chose to essentially drop out of college, which I did. I was studying radio, TV, and film. I did that for 2 years, and then the workload was just too much because there was a lot of other things that were going on as well, a lot of other elective classes that you had to take with it. And I just was falling behind. So I decided to pursue my career from a different angle. The irony is that about 7 or 8 years later, there was a student from the program that I dropped out of who had messaged me wanting to interview me for their 3rd-year thesis. Now that's hilarious. I don't know who their professor was, but that would have been funny if they saw my name in there. But anyway, the point I'm making is that I had a good relationship with both of them. So they were always very supportive. Tony?
Same. My entire family, my grandmother got me my first camera when I was a kid. My mom invested into my business to help it get it going. My dad has always been, in my corner rooting for me. Even through, having to revamp my business here over the last couple of years because of COVID and losing clients and businesses closing down and having to restructure everything. Both of them have really, just said, hang in there, don't quit, figure it out, and that's just that attitude. They come from that generation, of like, hey, here's the door, what do you think of this? And that's, kind of like how the real estate thing started, because I had a couple of clients. I never thought of making real estate photography my career. But I was reaching points last year where it was like, I don't know, who's coming back, who's not coming back, which clients I'm going to be working with. And as 2020, I really thought 2020 was going to be different. Mm-hmm. And instead it just got worse for me and as a business. And I was just like, I remember having a conversation during the break that we just had with both my separate conversations. It was just kind of one of those days where I lost it. I was so angry because I just like, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I've done nothing else besides this. And I don't want to do anything else besides this. And that's when they were just like, well, what about this real estate thing? And I was just like, well, I don't know. I can try to see and figure it out and, basically go from there and see what happens. And like within a month, sure enough, I remember having this conversation with my mom the other day. I was like, yeah, I'm starting to get new clients and things are, happening for me. And this seems to be working out, and when you're going through a season of like uncertainty, concerns, and you're not sure what's going to happen. And, I get the messages every day on my horror photography page account, but the reality is like, as much as fun as it is to do that stuff, I also have a career that I need to focus on.
That's right.
At the same time, you know what I mean? Like, and I finally reached a point where it's like, okay, I can't play around right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've got to figure this shit out.
I understand.
And if I come back to it one day, I do. If not, I'm always going to find a way to be creative and taking photos and, whatever and whatnot. But yeah, they no matter what has been thrown my way throughout my career, They've been helpful in the sense of helping me getting established, whether it's financially, you know, getting the business going like my mom did it initially all those years ago, or, you know, just the encouragement that both of them give, like, you know, don't quit, you know, don't give up, figure it out.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Have your days of being angry, but, you know, the next day rolls around, get off your ass and get out there. And that's basically what I do. And
yep, that's it.
I find the clients and the clients find me, and, you know, it just, you know,
I hear you.
So we both have been very fortunate to have parents.
Very fortunate. I know people in my life who have not been so fortunate. And it's, let's just say that it's pretty shitty. It's pretty shitty. Okay. Great question though. That's a good question. Happy Sanjo sends in $5, says, Dave and Tony, what do you guys think about The Sandlot, 1993? Love that movie. Love the lead
Sandlot. Actor in there, the baseball player, looks like my cousin.
Well, that's cool. That's funny.
Yeah. But no, it's a, you know, it's a good movie. Good coming of age baseball movie.
Yep. Yeah, it was right at the, because we were 14, so it was right at that tail end of something we would have been into. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it actually, I think a year or two later, but I liked it. I don't know if we saw that in theater or not. I can't remember. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. Kevin L., here's an interesting question, sends in $4.99, says, for $1 billion, would you watch Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 every day for the rest of your life? Now, here's the thing. This is a fun question that really just deserves a yes or no answer. But when I read it, naturally my over-analytical mind started to think about it. And I was like, every day? Like, would I even have time? Like, what if I'm shooting a movie? I got to take time out to go watch Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. What if I'm like on vacation? I gotta take time out to go watch Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I mean, clearly it's just a fun question, but that's what I was thinking. I was like, every day, is that even practical?
1 billion.
Is that even practical? But is that even practical? Is that even possible? I mean, out of everything you're doing in your life.
Technically you're watching it. It doesn't, the question is, would you watch it every single day? The question is, would you watch it till the end every single day? So I would put it on just as I'm going to bed, and technically it counts. So
maybe that's
if I should happen to fall asleep during it, I'll pick up, you know, and watch
Tony has found the loophole in my over analytical brain.
Of course, if I'm with a girl at the time, she might get a little pissed of constantly having to fall asleep, but I'd be like, look, $500 million after taxes. Perhaps. Go enjoy life. Go buy yourself whatever you want.
That's it. Sean Sheridan sends in €2 and says, hi, y'all. Thoughts on the Rocky IV director's cut? I liked it. I think I still prefer
it if they added it into the original.
Yeah, I think I definitely like my favorite parts of the director's cut is the development of Apollo. I think adding those few extra scenes really actually does help. And I like that the punches sound more realistic. I think that's kind of cool. But overall, I still prefer the theatrical cut for its sensationalism and craziness and popcorn fun, but it's just because that's what we grew up with, right? But there's some good in the director's cut too. Tony, you feel the same way, I guess?
Sure. Yeah. Except I just think they should have just taken I think Stallone should have taken the additional scenes and just added it into the original cut.
Yeah.
That's it. I think it would have flowed well. I felt at times that this was not edited well. I felt like there were pauses when there should have been dialogue.
It's because we know like the line in the theatrical cut when Rocky says, what does he say? Like,
no more.
Yeah, he's like, we can't do that no more. That was cut, but it was cut on a breath. Like because you know the movie so well, you know what's coming, you know the lines that are coming. And it was very obvious. Now, if you've never seen the movie, you wouldn't know, but it was very obvious to somebody like Tony and I, or anybody who's very familiar with the theatrical cut, what lines, where they made sharp edits. You know what I mean? To kind of, and I don't understand what this hang up is on the robot. I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, it was the 80s. I don't know why you cut that out. That's so the 80s.
But
like,
Stallone, Stallone is adamant that it's this weird thing, and I've heard other fans talk about. I'm like, what are you talking about? It doesn't take away from the story. It doesn't. No. It's just a funky little thing, you know. And you know, you can't use the argument. Oh, it kind of dates the movie. The whole fucking movie dates the movie. It dates itself.
Exactly.
It's an 80s movie. I mean, you know, you don't need the robot. I mean, the cars, the clothes, the music, the way it dates itself. Who cares if there's this robot?
But Dave, you just don't understand.
I just don't understand. It's just dates the movie.
Dave. It's just the way I want to do the movie.
I just want the movie. Why do you want to get down my fucking knife? Let me do the movie.
I'm going to come back again and fight in the ring one more time.
Yeah, I'm years old. Connie.
It's Adrian.
Oh.
Rocky with Alzheimer's.
It's Connie. No.
No
it's
offense
Adrian.
to anybody who's dealing with Alzheimer's, but
no. Oh yeah, God, we got to preface that now. Let me see here. So we got that. It's wait a bit. Where are we? Rocky Director's Cut. Mohabed Nabil sends in 50, whatever the currency is. Thank you very much. Says, thanks for answering my question, fellas. Goodfellas is my number one favorite movie, easily. Amazing. And Dave,
you broke up.
Oh, sorry. His number one favorite movie is Goodfellas. He says, and Dave, I sent 25 DH equates to $6.81. Okay, cool. I've doubled my donation. Oh, well, you certainly don't have to. I hear because you guys because you guys give great praise to Goodfellas. Okay, great. Yeah. Hey, no problem at all. It's a great movie, my man. Goodfellas is a great movie, and thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Really, really, really appreciate that. Kevin L follows up with $4.99, says, if River Phoenix was still alive today, do you think he'd be considered an all-time great actor? Well, it depends what he would have gotten himself into if he had stayed clean, if he would have picked the right scripts and all that.
Wanted to do movies still. People forget,
that's true too.
This dude was a seriously talented musician.
He was too, yeah.
And he'd been collaborating with Flea. I know he was friends with Johnny Depp and whatnot. So I mean, it depends on if the music thing was really catching on, would he have stayed as an actor or would he have done more music? But yeah, I agree.
Good question.
It just depends. It just depends on.
Did he have the talent? Oh, absolutely. 100%. I could have seen him up there with Leonardo DiCaprio, like that level.
I think there's some roles that DiCaprio might have got turned, passed
for
over
Phoenix.
On for Phoenix. Yeah.
For sure. And vice versa. Yeah.
Vice versa.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Robert Andrew Paul sends in $10. Thank you, Robert. Says, hey, Dave and Tony, been a while since I've been on here, but a rough time recently. Just want to say I got the It's Me Billy Blu-ray in the mail. You guys rock. Thanks a lot. I'll be here from now on. No worries at all. So glad you're doing okay, my man. So good that the It's Me Billy Blu-ray came in. Yes, we are still sending them out. Obviously, over the Christmas break, we had stopped because it's the Christmas break. Bruce and I are just getting back into the swing of things, so we really appreciate your patience. We're doing all of this ourselves, of course, and there's several hundred of these things we have to send out. So, but don't worry. If you haven't received yours yet, that means we haven't sent it yet. If you have received yours, which a fair bit have, obviously, as you can see, that's great. That's awesome. It's always good to know that it arrived safely. And thank you for the contribution, Robert, and glad that you're doing much better. Brandon Taylor sends in $9.99, says, love you dudes and your BS. Early reviews are good for Scream story, but no one has praised the cast or final girl's performance besides praise for Nev. Should we be worried since they're praising the torch? Oh, I see what you're saying. It's a funny way of saying that. Well, I hear what I've read is that.
I get that.
Yeah.
Good way to word
it's
that.
It's kind of it's a cheeky way to word. I've heard that it is fun. I've heard that the writing is good. I've heard that it's quite bloody, actually, for a Scream movie. They amp that up fair bit. These are not spoilers. This is all over the early reviews online. And I hear that it's a lot of fun and it's the best since the original. Now, whether all that turns out to be true, who the hell knows? But certainly if you hear a bunch of people saying it, which a bunch of people are, that's good. That's good news. That doesn't mean you're going to feel the same way, but it might be a Halloween 18 situation where you're like, oh, they've gone back to go forward. Who knows? I have no idea. Maybe it'll be better. Maybe you'll enjoy it more. I don't know. But that's what I've heard. Tony, what have you heard? Same stuff?
Just what you've said, to be honest with you. I'm not like paying really much attention to it. I'll watch the movie here in 12 days and make that decision for myself. Like reviews for me, I don't put a lot of stock into it because I just don't care. I'm going to judge a movie. For example, I've said this a million times. Leonardo DiCaprio is one of my favorite actors, if not my favorite actor.
Right.
I stopped Don't Look Up, or whatever it is, the new movie that
Don't
he
Look
did
Up,
with, Adam McKay. I just wasn't feeling it. It's not that it's bad. It's not my type of movie.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a great movie. That was all right.
So I got about halfway through. I'm like, I'm good, and I turned it off. And does it mean I hate DiCaprio? No, of course not. That movie just I wasn't connecting with it, but it's gotten great reviews, and people really liked it.
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was as great as the reviews, but I thought it was fine. It was, it was a satire. It was good.
Technically, The Matrix Resurrection it does have a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but again, I didn't like what they did to Trinity's character and Neo's character in this film. I thought a lot of things. Have you seen it?
No.
I don't want to spoil it.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
So I won't spoil it for you. I thought that if you've seen the original trilogy of The Matrix, what made Trinity, they took that away from her.
Right.
Trinity didn't need to become what she became in this movie, because Trinity is one of my favorite action female characters in movies. Like the original trilogy. Trinity didn't need to be Neo, but she'd still fucking run into bullets anyways and be like, I'm here to fucking fight and throw down. That's what I loved about Trinity's character.
Gotcha.
And I felt like they really just threw all that away just to make her something, because we're in that, this is the culture we're in now, the Mary Sue, and I don't mind seeing Trinity's character progress, but we should see it progress and not have it all thrown at us in one film and like, oh, now she's here. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, all right, I've seen this in Star Wars. I'm whatever. But again, that's another comparison to ratings or reviews that, because it is a fresh review. I just, didn't like it. And Dave's, I don't want to misspeak here, but I still love Halloween Kills. I haven't watched it in a minute. I took a break because I felt like I was watching the shit out of that on Peacock, when it came out. But I did buy it, it's one of my, it's my favorite new release Halloween movie that I've seen in a first time watching, and not watching it after it's like the old original series was, when I were kids.
I did not, because we live in a very black and white world, no pun intended, with everything that's going on, and a very sort of 0 or 10 world. It is not surprising to me that I have been misrepresented on my views of Halloween Kills. To be fair, however, I did choose to talk about the things that I liked in my initial social media responses, and even the video that I did with Bruce. We talked about the things that we liked, and that was a conscious choice that we made while walking back from the theater. We were actually talking about all the things we didn't like and the problematic, what we saw as major problematic areas and story structure, characters, things like that, pacing. But we decided, let's not go live and bash the shit out of this. Let's go live and talk about the things we did like the mask and the music and some of the suspense and a few little scenes, the kills and all that kind of stuff. And I had said that I liked Halloween Kills more than I did 18. But what I meant was I liked it on my first watch. I enjoyed the experience of watching Halloween Kills because I had no expectations. With 18, I had expectations. I had no expectations. So I enjoyed the experience and I liked the movie on my first watch more than I enjoyed the experience and liked the movie on 18. However, when you take a step out of that room and you look at things objectively, I feel that Halloween 18 is a better movie than Kills. Overall, I think it's paced better, the characters are better, the structure is better, the acting is better. I think Kills is a funny movie. It feels weird. I think the kills are great. I think the mask looks great. I think the music is great. James Courtney is great. But there's a lot of things in that movie that just don't work for me, that feel off and strange. And
I can tell you what, I shouldn't say love. That's the wrong word. I didn't mean it like that. I think it was appropriate to cut Nick Castle's scene out.
Appropriate to cut it out?
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. It doesn't I don't know.
Fit.
It doesn't. No, I agree. And I don't understand why that was his. I think they thought it. I get the idea that they probably thought
there could have been a better cameo.
There could have been a better cameo, and yes, for sure. Now, having said that, though, in my review of Halloween Kills, just a couple days later, of course, is when I was getting into the nitty gritty of what I didn't like, and I've been accused of backtracking and flip flopping, and that's not true at all. I haven't done that at all. If you understand sort of where I'm coming from and you implement some nuance, you get what I was doing, and I was very clear from the very beginning in my review, just like I said, a day or two later, because that's when you analyze everything, right? And I just didn't, as a whole, overall, I don't particularly, when you look at the movie overall, it's a movie I've watched 3 times now, once at the screening, once at home here, and once with you when we did the live show, and I haven't watched it since. I
think I've watched it like 4 or 5 times now, and I'm like, I
need
a break.
No, I haven't watched this. I like the flashback. That's great. I don't hate the movie. It's not the worst in the franchise by a long shot. It's not the worst in the franchise, but I do believe and that it is a step backward from 18. And you know how I feel about 18. I wasn't crazy on it, but I just think it's a better movie. I think Kills is a step back, in my opinion. But that's my fucking opinion. If you thought it was great and the best movie you've seen all year, then own that. I can't tell you how many people try to argue with me in the comment section or send me private messages. I don't fucking care. If you like it, that's great. That's great. Own it.
Make a YouTube channel talking about why you like it.
Right. How much you like it. I didn't hate it. I don't think it's Halloween 5 or I don't think it's Halloween 6.
Hates everything.
Yeah. No, but I don't think it's as good as 18. My opinion, I think it's a step back.
Reverse. I think it's better than 18.
There you go. And Tony and I can still be friends. Isn't that fucking amazing? Right, I know it's very foreign to some people.
What?
It's completely foreign.
What do you mean? They disagreed. They're still talking.
Like, what the hell?
Makes sense to me.
I don't think it's the worst. I think when I did my rating, I think I rated it like 7th or something like that. It's fine. I liked it better than H2O. I liked it better than Halloween 5 and Resurrection and Rob Zombie's films. Like, calm down, everybody. Just calm down. Jesus Christ. Just because I didn't, I said that I didn't like
they start principal photography soon, right?
They're supposed
the movie
to.
Comes out in October.
Yeah, they were supposed to start in January. I haven't heard anything. There was something floating around online that that James Jude Courtney had done a cameo or something where he was talking about how he wasn't expected to be on set until February. Now, some people have speculated that maybe the production start date has moved to February. Maybe, but and this might just be semantics, but if James Jude...
Or they could be shooting the end of January to February.
That's correct too. But it's also possible that they are still planning to shoot in the next 2 weeks. And James Jude Courtney is just not required on set until February.
Until then, yeah. And I got to figure with the COVID restrictions coming back in, they're going to be, very sensitive to when you're there, then you're not, you're gone.
Well, that too. And right. And, if you don't need to be on set, generally speaking, you're not on set. You're not required to be there.
Which I kind of feel bad because this is the end for them. You know COVID. What I mean? Of this current cast run. And it's just too bad that they can't kind of embrace that a little bit more and hang out on set, and have kind of like some of those final moments together. Cause who knows where they're going to go after this.
It's just that, making movies is a lot of waiting around. For those of you that, I mean, I know you kind of know this because it's kind of in the, the zeitgeist, but there's a lot of waiting around. And, when you're making, and I'm talking about when you're making a legit professional film, not hanging out with your buddies, but when you're making a legit movie, there's a lot of waiting around. And if James Jude Courtney doesn't have to be on set, he's not going to be there. He's not the stunt coordinator. He's he's a stunt man, and he might be able to be a coordinator, but I believe that's Aaron Armstrong who handled on Kills. So if James is not required to be there because they're shooting whatever they're shooting first, and he's not required to be, he's not going to be there. He'll fly out later. So that's probably what it meant, especially if he used the words, I'm not going to be on set till February. If he had said, we're not shooting till February, well, that's a bit different. That, again, it might just be semantics, but that may mean that the production start date has moved by a couple of weeks. But I haven't heard anything to the contrary. And you could shoot fucking Halloween Ends in March in March and have it out in October. You could do that. True. It's like a 4 to 6, maybe a 6 to 8 week shoot, roll right into post. It's not the kind of film that you need like a year and a half of post-production on.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you started filming in July, then you might be like, you're cutting it close.
Well, that's right. That's right. Booster Seed says, Dave, I wouldn't blame you for liking H Kills. I enjoyed it the 4 times I watched it. Yeah, I wish I liked it. I've seen it 3 times. I just didn't I don't hate it. It's not like I watch it and go, fuck, oh my God. But I don't think it was, it didn't meet my expectations. I mean, I had no expectations, but it didn't meet anything. I don't think I just think it's a step back.
I will say this. I will say this though. In the future,
but I'm glad you liked it.
In the future of the franchise and where to go. Not that you want to retcon another timeline, but
I know what you're gonna say. An alternate Halloween 5?
No.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I was gonna say I wouldn't mind if they spent more time in 78 again. You know what I mean? Like they did so well with that flashback sequence.
So you're talking about doing like an alternate Halloween 2?
Pretty much, and picking up from there. I wouldn't be, because they did that so well, like you said. And it could be a catch-22. Either you stay in there long enough to where people really love it and it's a home run, or you stay in there long enough and it turns into a fucking shit show.
Well, and that's,
you know what I mean?
And listen,
and it's like, what do you do? Because it was so well that like, man, I really want to see more.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Right. And I've said this now, for those of you that did not like Halloween Kills, and maybe you're like me and you're like, I didn't like this. I mean, listen, there are some people that think it's the worst movie that's ever made. I'm not in that camp. But if you are somebody that was very disappointed with Halloween Kills, or you didn't like Halloween Kills and you feel it is a huge step back, it goes back to what I've been preaching on this channel for 4 or 5 years now, which is the more sequels you make, inevitably you're going to find yourself right back where you started. I'm sure my viewers remember me saying that. Now, that generally doesn't happen with the first sequel. That usually happens when you hit 3 and 4 and 5, and that's usually where that begins to happen, because you've exhausted your ideas. But I'm not surprised that Kills is as divisive as it is. It doesn't surprise me. It's kind of like, well, here we are. I talked about this exact thing for the last 3 or 4 years. I've talked about this exact thing, and here we are, a little sooner than even I would have expected, but here we are. So it's kind of like, what is Halloween Ends going to stick the landing? I put up a Twitter poll on my Twitter earlier today. 355 of you have voted, and I said, do you think Halloween Ends will stick the landing? 54.1% of you said yes. 45.9% of you said no. That's almost 50-50.
Shows you where you're at.
Shows you where you're at. Although there were some people in the comments that admittedly said they voted yes just because they hoped so. And that's not really what you're supposed to do. If you don't think they will, then you say no. If you think they will, you say yes. If you're not sure, then you just don't vote. Right. I'm counting on people to be, authentic. I know, crazy online, right? But nonetheless, that goes to show you how divisive it is, and so
on the flip side, here we are. To be honest, too, I hope after Ends, they, 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 really what I would love to see, you know, because Michael has had his time, you know, for the last 5 years. 2000. Well, basically since they announced the 2018 film and the return of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right.
So that goes back to 2017. So 5 years. Michael has been on this, you know, trajectory, and it's been Michael. I would not be disappointed if we finally got a good rebirth of Jason and Freddy, you know, and seeing those characters brought back, you know, from the grave, no pun, but I mean, that's basically these two characters have been just sitting idle for so long, that Halloween definitely, I think, needs a break after Ends, for a minute, you know, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, it needs a break. But that doesn't mean you're not going to, you know, you can't resurrect, you know, Ghostface, Freddy, Jason, you know, especially Freddy and Jason. You know, it's a shame what's happened to those two characters, you know, because I'm not saying the younger generation doesn't appreciate the characters, but I know when I was doing the horror pictures, Michael always got the biggest hits. Ghostface got the biggest hits. Freddy and Jason, depending on how I did the photo, would do okay, but not very based on the age demographics, because I can see who's liking the photo based on age demographics.
Yes.
When it came to the age demographics of who was liking the photos, not many young kids were liking the Freddy and Jason stuff, because the characters are not. It's not like Michael. Michael
it's not current
now,
either.
It's not, you know, Michael and Ghostface are
out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. And it's a shame that those two are out of sight, because they're great characters. And I'd like to see the fucking studios get the heads out of their ass with Friday the 13th and get that going. And
well, we're getting closer. We're getting closer.
You know, something with Freddy as well too, whatever it is, you know, these are great characters. Freddy's been dormanted now for when did the remake
2010?
So that's 12 years.
There goes my light.
Shit.
Yep.
Shit. You know what I mean? So fuck. I mean, hey, we got to get these fuckers from, you know, going here, because I don't want to be 80 and they finally fucking do a Freddy film. I
agree. 85. Okay, let's see here. Let's earlier view Scream. Boy, we went off on a tangent there. Cody Snyder sends in $5 and says, it's good to be back with you guys. Happy birthday, Chester. Tony, you're not old. No, we're not. No. Tony and I don't ever profess we're old.
We're getting older.
We're getting older. I mean, but it depends. Look, I can understand, you know, if you're 55, you could look at us in a way and go, oh, you know, kids are, it's such a pretentious and condescending thing to do.
Well, no, like when I made the comment earlier about not really following the kids on Cobra Kai, it's one, I'm probably old enough to be their fathers. You know what I mean?
Yes. Reality well, a lot of them are 19, 20, 21, 22.
Exactly. And even if they're 25, I'm still going to be 43. That puts me at 18. I very much am capable of having a kid at 18.
Right.
So I'm saying, like, that's what I mean by, like, I'm at an age now where I'm old enough to be these kids' father. Well, that's just like, I'm not going to, like, I have nothing in common with these kids.
In my experience, and I'm not saying that anybody in the chat room feels this way. Let me preface this by saying that. I'm not saying anybody in the chat room feels this way. But in my experience, when you are, I mean, unless you really are like only 17 and you're professing to feel old, well, I mean, that's ridiculous. But when you're in your 40s, you know, you're not old, but you're not young anymore either. I mean, you know, you're not over the hill, you're not irrelevant, you know, but you're not 25, you're not 30. You know, you're at an age now where, you know, things are, you know, the way the world is constructed as well, and what's hot, what's current, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's not for people our age, generally speaking. It's for a much younger demographic, 20, 25, 30. Yeah. And all Tony and I mean when we talk about our age is that when you get older, you start to notice the differences, and sort of in the impact of culture and society, and you start to see how your age group is being sort of ushered out through pop culture, through society, through sort of, what's current, and what's hot.
And it's not a bad thing.
No, it happens. It happens to the people before us. It'll happen to the people who are 25 right now. It's going to happen to them. We don't profess to be old. We laugh because we still feel like we're 25, and here we are, approaching our mid 40s in the next couple of years. And you really do kind of go, oh shit, like where did that kind of, but in my experience, when somebody, and again, I'm not saying anybody feels this way, but in my experience over the years, because I have older siblings as well, when somebody says, oh, you're not old, and they want to point out the fact that you're not old and how they're actually old, or I'm 50, you're not old, it's because they feel insecure. It's because they can probably actually get what you're saying, but they feel this sort of sense of superiority, like, oh, now, you think you're old, little 43-year-old, I'm 55. I know what it's like to be old. It's like, I don't fucking care. You're 55, I'm 43, that's great. Neither of us are 30. So let's, it doesn't
exactly.
matter.
We're not
it doesn't
in our
matter.
20s, we're not in our 30s anymore.
Right.
And when I say old, I mean
not
that
old.
Also,
we're not 80.
No,
we're not 60.
But I mean it in the sense where like I'm too old to be debating with 20-year-olds about Halloween.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm reaching an age now where I'm like, yeah, this isn't really acceptable anymore. Like I should know better than to be arguing with someone in their early 20s about a fucking a movie. Like that's what I mean by you start, like Dave said, you start to realize when you get to a certain age, like, because like I feel like I'm in the best physical shape ever. I mean, ever.
Yeah, you look great.
For a fact.
You look great.
Because of how hard I work out.
Like that naked picture you sent me the other day was great.
Exactly. You know, fucking 5-6 days a week pays off, man.
I love how you just rolled with it. Fucking great. Brilliant.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? I love taking naked selfies. I got no shame.
I love it.
I got no shame. I let it hang.
Tony just sends me this. Hey, what do you think? Oh, it's great. It's awesome.
That's how I walk around my house every day.
I love it. That's awesome.
But to sit there online and like debate with like 20-year-olds, it's like, no, man, I'm too old for that shit.
Well, that's just it, right? And that's all I mean. When I look at my analytics, over 25% of the people that watch me every month are between the ages of 18 and 24 or whatever it is. So I have a fairly young. But then I think the most is between 25 and 35 or something. But the least is my age. I mean, they're in like the 20 percentile or something, but the most of the people that watch me are younger. And that doesn't surprise me, where pop culture is, where sort of what the platform that I'm engaging. That doesn't mean there are not people my age and older on here and doing tons of shit and that are hugely popular. I'm not saying that, right? I'm just saying that there is a group of the population, there's a segment of the population that is growing up in the digital age. And no, Tony and I are not old, but we are old enough to have not grown up in the digital age, at least very early on. Like Tony said, half our life, there wasn't really an internet. I mean, I didn't get an email address till I was 20 years old, So, I mean, because you didn't need one until I was 20 years old. And so half our life.
You didn't think it was going to be anything really significant at the time.
No, not at all.
You were like, this internet thing. Well, like, what?
That's right. And, now, of course, half our life has been spent in that. But there are people that are actually growing up in it and that will not know the difference. I mean, my buddy Bruce, who you guys know, he was very young when he had his two kids. He was 20 when he had his oldest son, and he was 22 when he had his youngest son. And they now, of course, are 21. No, they're 20 and 18, I guess. 20 or 21? No, I think Bruce was 21 when he had his oldest son. But yeah, and he's our age. He'll be 42 in a couple of weeks. So yeah, it's not old. It's just you get to a certain point in your life, and this, even if you're a lot older than Tony and I, say you're 55 and you're watching us, you know what we're talking about. There was that age where you hit, which was probably around 40, 44, 45, somewhere in there, where you started to look at things like, wow, the world's not really for me, you know, per se. There's a lot of feels kind of, I don't know what this thing is, or I don't know what that is, or whatever, because the marketing and pop culture and stuff's generally speaking not geared towards people in their 40s, generally. Unless, of course, it's life insurance.
Or it's 40-year-olds trying to live their glory days. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And I remember seeing those dudes, man, especially like when I was DJing at the nightclubs, working for the radio station.
That's right.
That was my early teens or late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing dudes who were in their 40s trying to hit on girls in their early 20s.
Yeah, it's gross.
Like, bro,
it's gross.
It's come on, man. And I was just not going to be one of those guys. Once I knew I got to this point, I'm like, okay, Well, and I think, guys, you have to remember that, generally speaking, these women, these young girls are going to look at you and be like, and all they see is their dad. So just don't. Okay. Yeah,
find a beautiful woman your own age.
That takes
all right?
That takes Call Me Daddy to a whole new level.
Oh God, let's not do that. Okay, next one. Well, let's see here. Let me just refresh this, make sure I've got them all in. Okay, I have. The next one, where were we here? We were, if River Phoenix were alive, been a while since I've been on here. Love you guys. Got that one. Booster Seat sends in $5, says, I know how HNs will finish and what Michael Myers will say. Just as he's about to kill Granny Strode, they're going to bring his parents back from the OG. Maybe he'll say, trick or treat, motherfucker, and then roll credits. What do you think of that? What do you think of that, Tony? You think that'd be amazing?
No.
Be amazing.
No.
Flat Lives sends in $5, says, Dave and Tony, great show tonight. And Dave, you're a great friend and phenomenal voice actor. And question, thank you very much, Flat. I appreciate that. And question for both, some of your favorite movie trilogies. Oh, that's a good question. Well, I mean, I always got to go classic, the original Indiana Jones, the original Star Wars. Those are, probably two trilogies that stand out off the top of my head anyway. Back to the Future. What about you, Tony?
The Karate Kid before it became Cobra Kai was a trilogy.
Yeah.
That I enjoyed. The original 3 Bourne movies, I enjoyed those a lot. Really didn't care about the Bourne Legacy and then Jason Bourne, that the 2 other films that came out with afterwards, I actually do like the original 3 Oceans movies. Those are fun. And of course,
those are fun. Actually, those are fun.
Like you said, Star Wars, of course, the original trilogy, anyways. And Back to the Future.
Yeah. Big booty bats and I couldn't say that with a straight
Say what?
I couldn't say it with a straight face. I just had this thing come into my head: big booty bats in Bombay.
Booty bats in Bombay.
And I was just, that trilogy, the Big Booty Bats in Bombay trilogy, was really good. And I was hoping to say it with a straight face and keep my composure and just let the chat room go, what? But
Batman
that's right.
Trilogy. Which Batman? Oh, the Christopher Nolan.
Christopher. Yep.
That's decent.
Yep, for sure.
I think what other films were trilogies.
Trilogies.
I haven't seen the Indiana Jones, so I can't really say.
Yeah, you got to get that in there.
But that's like 5 movies, right?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, I guess.
Never seen those.
I've seen them, but not in a long time.
Never seen a Harry Potter movie, but I think that's like 15 movies.
Well, it's 7 or 8 movies, I believe. Yeah.
I just remember, man, when those movies started to come out, it felt like every December, Harry Potter. What the fuck? Okay.
Now we're just naming off trilogies, know, right? But yeah.
Well, I guess this new the original Spider-Man trilogy was good. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy was
Yeah. I mean, obviously the third one was a bit of a step back, but I agree with that.
this new Spider-Man trilogy. The first two were decent. I will say they weren't great. I wasn't sure where Marvel and where the story was going with Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man. But the payoff with this new movie, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a strong trilogy,
right?
But because the payoff is so fucking good and epic, you know, I personally would like, because I did not mind the Andrew Garfield 2 Spider-Man movies. I felt that he got robbed,
right,
just from bad screenwriting and how they wanted to portray Spider-Man and, you know, whatnot. I would love to see Andrew Garfield get his moment and, you know, get a good, you know, good bookend to his, you know, Spider-Man with a third film.
Reese Wilson says, it comes hard into the paint here, says the Naked Gun trilogy. Absolutely.
I forget that's a trilogy.
Love me some Naked Gun movies. Oh my God, they're funny.
And it's got the greatest killer of all time in there.
It's true. Bobby Hall says, Dave, how do you think...
I'm glad you picked up on that so quickly.
I did. Bobby Hall says, Dave, how do you think fans would have reacted if David Gordon Green retconned the ending of Halloween 78 as originally planned? Do you kind of wish he went through with it just to see the world burn? I love how Bobby knows me. Yes. Well, okay. No, obviously I would not have wanted to see that, but I would be lying to you if I there's always part of me that would love to see the internet freak out over stuff. So yeah. So, there's this thing where, although Christopher Nelson has denied this on The Thing with Two Heads with Sean Clark, and, you know, you would think that, well, he's the special effects makeup artist. He's an Academy Award winner. He's worked on Halloween Kills, and soon Halloween Ends. He'll be working on the Exorcist movies. Obviously, he would know, right? Well, maybe. The special effects makeup artist doesn't necessarily have, you know, ins and the knowledge of the ins and outs of the writing room. But I will say that I know he's denied this is true, but where this comes from is an article from Bloody Disgusting, pretty reputable source, and an interview with John Carpenter, pretty reputable source, if I do say so myself. This isn't something that was just pulled out of the ether and somebody made up. And that was that a very early draft, at the very least, and Bobby can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm getting the gist of it right. A very early draft, if I'm not mistaken, of Halloween 18. It was at least on the table. It was in discussions to have Michael Myers kill Dr. Loomis at a flashback in Halloween 18, and Laurie was the one that actually shoots him off the balcony. Now, I know that sounds fucking crazy, and it probably sounded fucking crazy to Christopher Nelson. Maybe he's unaware of the article, I'm not sure. And who knows how serious or not serious they were. And I might be a bit off on some of the details, but that is the gist of it. That was actually something, that's an article from Bloody Disgusting. It's an interview with John Carpenter, not interview with the water boy in craft services. This is an interview with John Carpenter, who said this. Well, I was saying, this is coming from as reputable as you could probably get. And John Carpenter's argument was, of course, no, we can't do that. That's silly. Why do you want to change my... No, we shouldn't do that for this. And they ultimately didn't end up doing it. Now, how close were they to doing it? Who knows? I mean, it might have just been something on the table in passing at a meeting that made its way with an interview with John Carpenter that's made it... It could have been blown up to mean more than it really was. But to say that was never even... I don't think is true. To say maybe it was never close to actually happening, that might be true, because maybe it was just an idea, but it absolutely, according to Bloody Disgusting, which is according to John Carpenter, it absolutely was discussed, at the very least. So I am glad that did not end up in the movie. But if it because it doesn't make any sense, because you literally just, and my argument was always, and I've talked about this on my channel, if you did that and you're telling us that Halloween from 78 is still canon, You've just rendered the ending of 78 completely obsolete. So when I watch Halloween 78, I have Loomis shoots Michael off the balcony, but then when I watch Halloween 18, Laurie shoots him off the balcony, and Loomis, what? That doesn't make any sense. What the fuck is going on? That what? That doesn't.
But you know what?
Doesn't make any sense.
That would perfectly fit in the Halloween franchise.
Oh, it would totally be an absolute thing that the director of Halloween 5 would do.
It would be like only Halloween would do something
Dominic
like this.
Macquarie, whatever his name is.
Someone was asking us, and I didn't want to let this go by because we were talking about trilogies. Tony Movie Chappie was asking about the new Planet of the Apes with Andy Serkis. I love those. Those 3 films, those are a good trilogy. Yes. And Robert Thidoff is right. For those of you that don't know, he said, had to be close, Dave. The inside of the house in 18 was a replica of the bedroom inside from the balcony. He's absolutely correct. For those of you that may not know, now I think it's pretty common knowledge now, but some of you may not. Laurie's bedroom in Halloween 18, if you look at the layout of the bedroom, does it look familiar to you? Well, it should, because it's the exact layout of the Doyle bedroom at the end of 78, where the doors are. With the idea of like, should we do this?
Now that doesn't mean that maybe they didn't have another idea that was not Michael killing Loomis and Laurie shooting him off the balcony. Maybe they had abandoned that, but still had another idea which would have allowed them to shoot, the ending again. That's always possible as well. But they never ended up shooting anything for the ending. So interesting. And I don't know if Christopher Nelson knows that or not. Maybe he did. He didn't. It wouldn't surprise me if he did not know that. Just know that just because somebody works on a movie doesn't necessarily mean they know everything about what goes on a film. The director usually would, because they spend the longest on a project from its inception to completion. They're there through, development, pre-production, post-production.
Could you imagine if they actually did that?
Actors know though.
Could you though? I mean, seriously, could you imagine?
Well, it would just make no sense. It would just.
It would though. For Halloween, it would make sense.
I know, but
we've got this crazy franchise with all these timelines and different characters, and
it'd be so strange because it's like, so wait a minute, Halloween 78 ends like this, and the direct sequel tells me that it doesn't end like that. That doesn't make any sense.
So if you're dating someone for the first time and you show them Halloween, like, okay, so we got to watch Halloween 1 and 2, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6. But then we got to go back, watch Halloween again. We got to stop it just before
right. I know
the shooting happens, and then we
the
got to
look.
Turn
it would be, but
oh man.
But to the original question, Bobby, you're right. If they did end up doing that, I would thoroughly enjoy watching the world burn, losing their minds over it. It'd be so funny. Okay, I think this is the last super chat I'm going to get to here. Let me see. I believe I've got them all as of this point anyway. $5 from Booster Seat says, then stab himself in the heart. Only Michael Myers can kill Michael Myers. He'll fall on his sword. You heard it here first. All right. Well, if you're wrong, be careful, because I have a good memory. Maybe I'll come back and go, ha ha ha, you suck. No, I don't know. I'm just kidding. Just busting your balls. Who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe he'll fall on his sword. Maybe it'll be an actual ninja sword that he falls on. That'd be funny. All right. You want to go another 5 minutes, take it to 2.5 hours, and then call it a day?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. 5 more minutes left in the show. Austin Wilcutt says, Halloween 5 is a mess, but I like it for some weird reason. That's great. I'm glad you like it. I wish I could feel the same way, but I don't. Let's see what else we got here. Colin Murdy says, I just hope they pull it back a bit in ends and give us some more atmosphere and no ridiculous subplots. Yeah, I hope so too. I was watching The Slaughtered Lamb earlier today with their thoughts, what they wanted to see it with Halloween Ends, and I agree with Darren in the sense of that I hope it goes smaller. I hope it doesn't continue. Just give us a more nuanced kind of, more of that lurking in the shadows thing again.
Yeah.
And end it the way you began it, and I don't know. I really don't know what to expect from this movie. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm putting no expectations on the movie, so I'm just like, what I get is what I get.
Yeah, it's the best thing to do.
What I get is what I get in October, and if I'm either gonna like it or I'm not gonna like it. It's the same with Scream. You know, when Scream comes out here in a week or a little over a week, barely. You know, either I'm gonna like it or I'm not gonna like it. I'm not gonna worry about. You know, it's why I don't really spend much time on the internet anymore, you know, or watching videos and theory videos. It's funny. I've gone back now just to kind of scroll through some of the Cobra Kai theory videos. I'm so glad they did not go down that Tori is going to be Silver's daughter. I'm like, oh yeah, that talk about a theory that didn't age very well. I mean, they could still pull out, you know, some weird, you know, twist with that, daughter. But I don't think they're going to go with that.
Welcome, Empress Tori.
But even with like Halloween at times, you know, I've gone back just to kind of, you know, look to see like what were fans predicting and what would happen. And nothing is even remotely close, like not even in the ballpark of some of these theory videos. And like, there's one out there on like, I like the guy. He's a cool dude. I think he did the video Wolf Nards, dude.
Wolfman Scott Nards, Barry, yeah. He's a nice guy.
Very nice guy. I think he did the video that why Aaron must returns or Aaron might return.
Oh, I heard something about that. Yeah, I was
like, no, dude, no. Like I know you're trying
Aaron's not returning.
I know you're trying to create content, but no, he's not returning. Like there's no need for it to return. It's unnecessary. No, it's not necessary.
I think he'd return at all. I don't. You know, I don't. Yeah, or maybe Dana returns back from the dead, hanging off the bathroom stall. Maybe I'm not sure.
He is insecure. No, I'm not. What the fuck am I insecure about? Oh, Tony Soprano. I was like, wait, what?
Like, Tony Soprano. From? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've never. You know, that's funny. As much as I'm into mob shows, mob stuff. I've never seen The Sopranos. Not one fucking episode.
I've never watched an episode of The Sopranos, but 15 years ago, I did a bunch of their promos. Because when they went into syndication, there was a network here where it was one of the first networks in Canada, I think, to launch The Sopranos when they went into syndication, and I was hired to do all their ads. So I did a lot of their ads, but. For the network here, but I never saw an episode. All right, we're down to the final one. Let's do. I don't know. Let's do. I thought I saw one. I did see one. I was gonna say, and I don't know where it went. Dave and Tony, this is a good one from Michael Myers, says, Dave and Tony, do you think The Thing video game could work? The Thing video game. The Thing video game? Do you think The Thing video game could work? Maybe.
See, I'm not really a gamer, so I'm like the last person to ask that question to.
All right, we'll ask Tony another one.
This was a good one. Dave and Tony, worst finale to a TV show. That's a good question. Worst finale.
Do they ever live up to the, I don't know, Seinfeld maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, the whole jail thing. I
didn't like it.
Not really. And I really wasn't into Seinfeld when it first came out to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Worst finale. MASH was great. MASH is, you know,
Cheers.
iconic.
Cheers was good.
Cheers was great. You know, Sam going over.
Frasier was good too.
And a lot of people don't know this, but there's a reason why when he says, sorry, we're closed, and then he walks over and he fixes the Geronimo picture, that was Coach's photo. Nick, whatever his last name.
Oh, right. He died after the first,
he died. Coach died season 3, and they put that picture of Geronimo, which was in the actors, you know, whatever his place where he would get ready for, you know, on set. So they took that from his, you know, little area and they put it on the set and made it a part of the set. So when Sam corrects it, it's that kind of, because he couldn't be there for the finale. It was their wink and nod to Coach.
Very
so I
cool.
thought that was cool.
I like that.
How does Frasier end? I can't remember.
Frasier ends with you think Frasier is flying. You think he's moving, he's flying to somewhere else, but then you hear over the speaker on the plane, and welcome to Chicago, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh,
that's right.
He went to Chicago for the woman. He went to, right. Played by Laura Linney, right? Was it her?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
But worst finale. We haven't really reached a worst finale.
I don't know. Seinfeld's pretty, it's not awful, but.
Full House, though.
King of Queens for me was a letdown too.
I'm actually in the middle of watching that show, so thanks.
No. The show is great, but the finale,
Full House, I didn't like the final episode where Michelle gets amnesia and then she gets it back. I thought, although I think they actually thought they were coming back for season 9, and so they sort of rushed to a finale. I don't think they were ready for a finale. So unfortunately for them, I don't want to say it's bad in the sense that it's the worst. It just was rushed.
Yeah.
And they didn't really give the show the proper send off. That it's Perfect Strangers. They did that to them as well too. They didn't give Perfect Strangers, but a lot of TV shows back in the day, unfortunately, had that happen, especially during the TGIF run, because they were bringing in so many new shows.
Yeah.
It seemed like every year. One of my favorites that it's a gut puncher all the time. I'm still going to try to get to a worse one, but one of my favorite finales was Boy Meets World, when Feeney says, "I love you" to them, as the kids leave the classroom.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I love you all."
I vaguely remember that.
Feeney, dude, you're gut punching me right now. What the hell?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of any, but,
I didn't really like Home Improvement's finale where he picks up the house.
I didn't like that.
Yeah,
either.
There we go. I finally got one, and I really love Home Improvement.
Oh, I love Home Improvement.
The finale, he picks up and moves, and just like,
I didn't like that either.
I thought they could again, but I also think they were trying to come back for season 9 again, but Patricia Richardson wasn't going to come back, and they were going to kill Jill's character off.
Yeah.
And Tim was like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah,
but he was going to come back.
Yeah.
But when they proposed the idea, like they were going to do like what they did with Edith Bunker, and and then Archie went on to do his own spin-off show for like a season or whatever. Yeah, Tim Allen was. They offered Tim Allen like this astronomical salary to come back for season 9.
Yeah,
but Patricia Richardson wasn't going to come back, and they were going to kill Jill off, and Tim was like, "Nope."
That's ridiculous.
No, because you know what? In reality, it still leaves the door open for them to come back if they ever decided to reboot Home Improvement, which I've heard murmurs that they are considering it. They're actually I'm hearing murmurs, and I don't know if it's true, that they're considering Married with Grandchildren.
And there's murmurs of Frasier coming back at the next stage of his life.
Dude, that's not murmurs. I think that's actually like.
Well, he's trying to get it. He's trying to get it going. I don't know if there's interest from the other cast members, though.
The only thing, though, here's the key thing. The only way Married with Grandchildren works is you have to, the Bundys cannot change to the PC culture. They have got to be the Bundys that we all grew up with.
Right.
It's got to be that type of dynamic.
Well, you can actually utilize.
Not going to work.
You can have. I was going to say Ted Bundy. Jesus. You can have. You can have Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy. You can have him play it like Johnny in Cobra Kai.
Absolutely.
Where he's just like, he doesn't, and then the humor comes from his ignorance and him not willing to adapt.
Yes.
And that's how you play that. It writes itself. It totally writes itself. And has anybody ever noticed that the beginning of Married with Children is totally the Griswolds station wagon in Chicago?
It's totally the Griswolds.
No, but it actually literally is.
The Griswolds are within the Married with Children universe.
Like, it's not even...
Married with Children is within the Griswolds universe.
It literally is the same, B-roll. Like, it's not even like...
Truckster.
It's the family... But that shot of them in Chicago driving on the highway, and you're love and marriage, love and... Oh my God, my voice is breaking up.
It's the family
love and marriage, love and... And you see the fucking station wagon on the highway, and it's
B-roll from Vacation.
It's the exact same shot from the original National Lampoon's Vacation, 1983. And of course, that came first before Married with Children. So, and I'm like, What? And I always used to think that when I was a kid, when I would watch Married with Children as a teenager, and that would pop up, because I'm a huge fan of the first Vacation movie, and I remember thinking, kind of looks like the Family Truckster. Like, that's kind of weird. And then years later, because of the internet, I found out it actually is. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's not like they didn't reshoot. They just took the same B-roll and put it in the beginning of Married with Children. It's hilarious. Anyway.
Yeah, but they probably figured back in the 80s, no one was going to know.
That's probably true too.
They couldn't, the internet was, they weren't conceiving all this YouTube.
That's true.
And none of this stuff was going around.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
But, this was a good, fun show back.
This was a good show. This was a good show back. Thank you to everybody who sent in super chats today. To our moderators, of course, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, Chris Baber. You guys are amazing. We are
going to do watch along again, guys. I think we're just going to kind of mix it up between stuff like this and watch along just to keep it fresh. Because when we're doing the same thing week after week after week, it becomes stale. So doing something like this for a few hours where the show is flowing.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. We're answering questions. We're changing up topics. We're not sticking on to just one topic for 2.5, 3 hours.
That's right.
I don't think we're going to totally get away from it. I think Dave and I are just going to try to feel this out and see, like, maybe kind of do a blend of both. Watch along and I don't know, we can just call this live hangout instead of Q&A, because it really is. It's just a live hangout.
Well, it's a hangout, but it's a Q&A because, you get the questions and whatever. It's a matter of semantics, I guess. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. But yeah, we're just trying to keep things fresh. It's a new year and we just want to, just change it up a bit. Don't want to go stale, keep you on your toes. And we'll see where it goes. We'll see what the year has in store for,
and you guys help
for
with
us
the
in the
questions.
channel.
When you guys ask the questions,
it's
able for us to kind of bounce from topic to topic, and that's what I like.
And great questions today too. Yeah. Great questions today. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. All right, guys, have a great rest of your Monday night. Have a great rest of your week, and we shall see you soon. All righty. In the meantime, in between time, cheers.